Good evening, Norcal Karters. It is December 7th. We flew through this year. Again, it's already December 7th, 2021. And this is the Norcal Karters weekly podcast. And tonight we have a special guest. Our special guest is Terry Bridges out of the Pacific Northwest. And Terry, you really jumped on my radar. We had met years ago at the Supernats when I was working for SwedeTech. And then when you were doing the podcast shows and you were really, pushing the Pacific Northwest karting scene, and you know what? I really appreciate you jumping on board tonight.
Oh man, it is absolutely awesome to be here, man. It's actually an honor.
Well, I appreciate that. I wouldn't really call it an honor, but you put in a lot of hard work up there in the Pacific Northwest, and you have your show. I think it's on Mondays, right, at 7:00?
It is. It's called Motorsports Monday. It used to be Late Model Monday. It used to be the Northwest Race Report. I mean, it was just one of those things where I was a big UAS guy, and I know SwedeTech had helped one of my favorite guys, Ryan Diotti. And so, but karting just, we had the Salem Indoor, we had lots of stuff going, and then all that just kind of dried up. My co-host, Glenn Lippy Tower, who was with me for like 4 years, he got hurt up at Castle Rock, had a pretty serious concussion, and he needed to take some time away, and it just was, I don't know. It was just kind of maybe one of those times where I thought I might need to go a different direction. Not that I had anything, not that I was against or upset or anything with karting. It was just Glenn was such a big part of that, and when he left, it just kind of took the wind out of the sail. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I don't want to bag on karting too much because I know both you and I have a strong passion for it. But I'm going to assume you weren't making your living or paying your mortgage with your karting podcast.
Well, and I'm still not. I'm not doing this. I mean, a lot of people think, because I get a lot of calls, I get a lot of requests, and people saying, "Hey, can you sponsor us? Can you do this?" And people think I'm cutting this fat hog when, in all reality, it's the opposite. We're not making any money. I'm paying every month to have my platform, just like you are, and we do it because we love the sport. The loader and I do it because every Monday, because it's not like we're getting rich off of this. We're not making any money. We're actually paying to have our platform, and we're paying to do the show every week. So a lot of people think maybe you or I or a lot of these podcast guys are making money. And, I mean, at least for me, at least right now, that's just not the case. That's not the case.
Yeah, well, and when we were talking off the air doing our sound check, it's, here I am thinking about 2022 and, rolling into doing some video. There's that group of kids out of there, Kart Chaser, that they do their weekly show. They're doing the video. They asked if I wanted to be on last week, and I was really impressed with it, but I'm sitting there and it's like, man, they're on fire. Like they're doing a good thing for their niche of karting. And it's like, okay, Jason, I got to step it up. I need to do what they're doing for NorCal. I don't care if I go out of NorCal. There's plenty of racing in NorCal for me to focus on. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's like, there's a lot of money out of your pockets to keep the shows going. And we do it for the passion. For me, it's kind of, half and half. It's like, I obviously have a passion for it. But, if we don't promote karting, the shops they're going to struggle even more than they are. And the flip side of that is I have my own eBay store for karting stuff. And if people aren't going to the track, I'm not selling product.
Well, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a store. So, but I mean, I'll be honest, Jason. I thought about, okay, you got all these guys now that are live streaming stuff, and you've got I don't know. There's several guys in California. What is it? Budget TV, and some of these other guys, and I really wanted to try to do that. I was all geared up to spend the money to maybe get some gear. I mean, I couldn't afford all that trick stuff, but you look at it now, and I guess for me is the problem is it's just like we see here now with the pocket. How do you make any money? Everybody and their brother's doing it, and if you don't have somebody, a lot of these things like Speed 51 and flow rate. I mean, I think now I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they got some pretty solid backing behind that. Fast Four Media is another one. He does a great job, but they got some backing, and it takes money to do that. And to do a production, you got to have I'm just not that savvy with all that stuff yet. I mean, I would love to do the video stuff, but man, you take a couple hours to get an hour of video. It takes you 10 hours to do it. And so with family life and the work-life balance thing, it's a tough thing to do, and especially when it's tough to make some money at it because everybody and their brother's doing it now.
Yeah, and it's honestly for me, this is probably a detriment to NorCal Karters. Originally, I didn't come in with a business plan to make money at it. Originally, it was, okay, what can I do to get back to karting? And then
right.
It's like, okay, it's where can I kind of fill that void? What's missing? It's like, well, okay, let's start with promotion. I don't want to be a race promoter. There's a couple jobs that I've told myself I never want. I don't want to be a race promoter. I don't want to do tech. Recently, someone asked me to do race directing, so I added that to my list of stuff I don't want to do. Because I think when you do your job right in any of those three, there's no gratitude, there's no thank yous. It's just like, yeah, you should have got it right. And you're almost if you did your job perfectly, you're in the background and no one knows who you are. When you do it wrong, everyone takes their bucket of crap and pours it over your head. And it's like, I'm good. I don't need those three jobs.
No, and that's a fair deal. However, I don't know. Regardless of what job you're doing, I mean, I think that same scenario, applies. Whether you're a tech guy, I mean, look at for example, and not to veer off, but look at like Derek Thorne. He goes back there to the Snowball Derby, and he dominates for 5 days. And he's the quickest guy. He leads the most laps. He gets, I don't know. I didn't really like the end of it. But at the end of the day, the guy's fast for 5 days. He's got everybody covered, and they call him a cheater.
Yeah.
but he's done his homework. He's done everything right. He's done it, so instead of getting the respect of, wow, this guy was really together, they're saying, hey, there's no way a guy can be that fast and have everybody that covered.
If I'm cheating and you're beating me, you must be cheating.
Yeah. So, I think that scenario applies to a lot of stuff. But I think the greatest thing you said was you didn't do it to make money. And I honestly believe that if you love what you do and you're doing it for the right reasons, I think eventually the money's going to take care of itself.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I've had a couple of very loyal clubs over the past couple of years that, and again, it's you got to change the website. I have the the website, so I change it around to bring value to the shops or the tracks, etc., or the promoters, however they see fit, and I listen to them. A perfect example is I had a race calendar with all the clubs, and the promoters that affected NorCal. Well, then Gary Carlton asked me, he goes, hey, how can I support NorCal Karters? And it's like, well, Gary, this was last year, so I didn't have banner ads and everything else at that time. Now I do. And I go, I don't know. I don't really want to do banner ad website and kind of bomb you with flash images, and I just don't think there's a lot of value there. And he goes, well, why don't you just put me on your calendar? It's like, I didn't even think about that. So, I added GFC karting to the events calendar. So now people, when they go to norcalkarters.com, click on the calendar, they see the club race. Like, we'll use Sonoma because Gary's out there all the time. So, they Rock Sonoma. Oh, GFC is going to be at Rock Sonoma that weekend. Or, oh, look, he's going to go down a pro kart. And I actually had to put a couple of national events on that calendar because Gary was traveling to them. So it's like, okay, he actually, by him sponsoring the calendar, brought promotion to these other events that never would have made it on the calendar.
Absolutely. And you're doing the right thing. I mean, there's that old thing, you got to take care of those who take care of you. And that is, it's awesome that he even would reach out and see. I mean, that's part of what you were saying is, hey man, he's looking at Jason Berry going, hey man, this guy's doing something good. I want to, just like you're giving back, I kind of want to give back. What can I do to help you continue to do what you do? So, there again, it might not be huge monetarily, but hey, it's baby steps, man.
You know how it is. Every couple $100 is like, okay, well, that just prepaid the rest of my year for Skype, or it prepaid the rest of my year for, the podcast platform. And then you and I are talking off the air. It's like, oh shit, Terry's going to make me spend more money on technology for next year. It's like, well, no, but if that makes the show better, then I have to do it.
I'll tell you, Jason, and I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of guys. There's a guy down in your area. He's awesome. His name is Stephen Blakesley. I don't know. You probably know him. He announces all the late model stuff down there. He's got Blakesley Motorsports. He does short. I think it's called Short Track Live, or it's on. I believe it's on Tuesday nights. I'm not 100% sure, but he does a great job promoting short track racing and late model racing and open wheel racing, and he's got a great thing. You look at his show on Facebook, man. He's got all the trick camera, and you can see the guy that he's talking to, and all that stuff, and all that is great. I love it. I'm just not smart enough to do all that, and that takes. I don't know that it takes a whole lot more gear, but my deal was, we're here. I don't want to edit. I just want to be straight up real for the people, right? I want, hopefully when they listen to our show, we try to talk about different things, just use our experience racing to just remind people, like, hey, take care of your trailers, right? You're no good if you can't get your stuff to the racetrack. Your trailer's the number one thing. So work on your trailer before you work on your junk to make sure that you can get there.
Yeah.
If you don't have a trailer, you're not going to be able to get there. If your trailer's falling apart, or the wiring doesn't work, or the lights aren't working, you can't get there. So maintenance your trailer. Take the time every winter before you jump on your junk to go work on it, to make sure your trailer's dialed in. Make sure the bearings are greased. Make sure the crank works, so that when you want to take it off the trailer, the thing isn't stripping a gear and you can't get it off. And make sure your chains aren't worn through, so that the chains come off. And if the thing comes off the ball, or whatever. Those are the kind of things. Just little friendly reminders that to take notes. You can't go racing without taking notes. All those things that can hopefully help a racer improve his program immediately. Small things that often get overlooked. That's what we're trying to do. I'm not trying to teach Jason Berry the 101s of karting or the 101s of late model stock car. I mean, most of those guys already know all that stuff. It's just trying to remind them that, hey, sometimes you get caught up in all the riffraff and the clutch of the week and the pipe of the week and the tire of the week. You kind of forget all this other stuff. And that's what the Loader and I try to do on Motorsports Monday.
Yep.
It's just kind of remind everybody, hey, guys, keep it real. I don't know how to put it other than that.
No, that's true. And since you bring it up, I think I say it every year during the winter. If you have a water-cooled engine, drain your water if you're not going to the track soon. Because I don't know how many times at Sweet Tech, every single January, February, we'd get that phone, at least 2 or 3 phone calls. Like, if it was a road tax, it's like, oh, my water pump doesn't work. They didn't realize it just broke off in the case. And then with the rock stuff, the rock shifter stuff, we'd get a couple in and they didn't drain the water and the casting on the cylinder just blew out of the back. And it's like, well, you got an expensive paperweight now.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. It's those little, it's so, and like I do, everybody gets so caught up. I mean, they'll spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for some of this stuff, but they forget no matter what, I don't care how trick it becomes, it's still all about the basics. Karting 101 still applies. Yeah. I mean, I don't care how much technology gets there. I don't care how many microns you got or how many 219 chains or all this lightweight bearing stuff and, this, that, and the other thing. It's still Karting 101 applies, and there's no way around that. If you're not maintained, if your stuff isn't taken care of, if it's not clean or pristine, I mean, cleanliness is next to godliness, right?
Yeah.
So there's just no overlooking that. And it's easy to do that when you get all, man, I'm looking for that extra I'm looking for this. This guy's got this. Oh, man, so-and-so had this. I need, man, you can't get caught up in that. You gotta make sure that you're sticking to the basics. You got to have a checklist when you go to the racetrack. I remember when I was racing big cars, I left one night and I forgot my toolbox. But in all honesty, Jason, it was the best night I ever ran. Because I couldn't screw with nothing, right? I kind of had to just make it work. So racers are racers, and they get caught up in all that. And they, but at the end of the day, it's all, I tell people this all the time, and I don't know, maybe it will make sense to you, but I don't care what form of racing you're doing, whether it's cars or karting or whatever, you have to come up with your own belief system as to how things work. And so, for example, just using big cars only because it's something I know a ton about, but let's just say you're oval tracking. Some guys will use stagger to make their cars turn. Other guys say, I don't mess with stagger. I run 3 inches everywhere. I'll use a shock and a spring to make the car turn or do what I want. Same with karting, right? Some guys will say, I don't screw with this, or I don't screw that. I do this to make that. Okay, all that works, and everything works, but you got to have your own belief system. If you go around saying, hey, Jason Berry, what about this? Hey, Terry Bridges, what about this? Hey, Chris Gibb, what do you – you're going to get all these different answers, and you're never going to know which way to go because you don't have your own beliefs. You got to have an understanding of how you think things work, and until you have that, I don't know that I don't know that you're ever going to really be able to progress. Like, ask Gary Carlton. I'll bet you he'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah, the people that walk around the pits, always asking people, hey, what about this? And it's always consistent. We call them ask holes.
Yeah. And, they get nowhere because they get all this information, but they never really decide for themselves what's right for them. They're constant. It's the same guys constantly, but yet all the fast guys, they already know. They'll tell you, don't worry about that crap. I don't worry about that crap. I don't worry about this. I worry about this. Well, you might not believe that, but until you get your own belief system, I mean, you're just at the mercy of whoever you want to talk to.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, there was one race I forgot. I forgot my driving equipment one race, and I packed up.
And by driving equipment, are you talking about helmet and suit?
Yeah, my whole bag, my whole driver bag, and I end up just going back home because I'm not going to wear someone else's nasty suit or helmet. So I end up going back home, and then I created a karting checklist. And every time I load the trailer, I load the truck. I have two different ones. I have one for the trailer. I have one for the truck. And now that karting checklist is 3 pages deep. And if anyone wants a copy of it, send me an email or a message. I probably have it on the website somewhere, but it's probably easier for me just to send it to you. But yeah, and every time I load, there's always something, I need to add this to the checklist. And it's simple stuff. It's, don't forget the water, don't forget the ice. And at least for me, because the way my brain works, I can't do two things for 2 seconds in a row without forgetting or getting sidetracked. And
it's complete ADD, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I found for me when I'm loading, it's instead of, I'll remember everything. It's like, I will eventually when I get to the track. I write everything down, literally down to the nut and bolt, which is, some people are probably going, that's ridiculous. But
dude, it's not ridiculous.
It keeps me calm when I'm loading the trailer. It's like, there's my checklist. And then I'll look through it. It's like, I'm at the track and, I need to add this to the checklist. And, like you said, you need to find your process.
You're 100% right, Jason. I mean, let me ask you, have you ever been to the racetrack on a day where you're putting stuff together as you're going to the track? Let's just say the kart's not together. Your whole day is hinged on your preparation. If you're not prepared, your day is going to be garbage. I don't care. You can put the thing together. That's probably great. You'll probably get it together and no problem. And every now and then, you'll luck out, and everything will fall together, and you can do no wrong. But 9 times out of 10, the other 9 times, your day is absolutely filled with frustration. It's filled with heartache, broken stuff. You end up costing yourself more money than if you would have just stayed home. I mean, that's the whole thing. If you're not prepared, don't go. I mean,
you're absolutely right.
I don't know how to make it any clearer than that.
No, you're right, because back when I did most of I'll say my competitive racing, it was between 95 and 2002. That was like my prime competitive racing. And I can think of 2 times, and people that know me that long are going to go, dude, you're so full of shit. But I can think of 2 times specifically that I told myself, I'll do this at the track. One time it was down at Atwater. It's like, I'll just finish building the kart at the track because I was putting together a new kart. I spent half the day just chasing nuts and bolts, and because back then it's not like it is now. It's, with the Honda back in the day, it's like everything. It wasn't custom, but it was custom. Like it was a hack job. Like every kart was a garage hack job. And it was so funny because years later, SweetTech came out with all these beautiful mounts and to make things a lot nicer. But they didn't have any of that stuff back when, in the early 2000s. We just didn't think about it. And I spent all day, just the worst day at the track. And I was almost getting ready. I couldn't figure out why the engine wasn't running right. And just everything was wrong. My teammate, Kirk Jeffries, comes over. He's like, get out of the way. He goes, 1, start showing up prepared. And 2, your throttle's all screwed up. And I was so upside down because I was just thrashing all day long that I I didn't tighten the throttle adjuster that's on the chassis. And then when I thought I had everything fixed, then the throttle cable would come out of the housing and get hooked on the end. And just like that typical, it would have taken me 2 minutes.
That should have been fixed at home. Yeah. All the stuff that should have been fixed at the shop.
Yeah, exactly. It's, $5 in parts and 2 minutes of time cost me, most of the day. So yeah, pretty much after that, I was like, nope. If the cart's not ready to roll from the shop, I'm not racing.
Yeah, but you know what? If you go to the track, you'll see it time and time again, and it's. I mean, you almost feel for them, but you got to let them just go through it, because until you go through it, you're never going to get. I mean, what we're saying now, it's never going to make. You could say this 1,000,000 times to everybody, and there's still going to be somebody that shows up there doing exactly what you did. So, I mean, it's like being a parent in a way. You got to just kind of let the kids figure it out on their own. They're not going to listen. You could give them all the answers to the test, and they're still not going to listen, right? I can tell you where this pothole is. I can tell you where that is. They're still going to hit every one of them just because they don't want to listen.
Yeah.
They think, I got it. So it only the people who are smart, it takes one time to do that, and they say, never again. But it amazes me how many people continually go through that same heartache and nightmare.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of us too, it's racing is our outlet, right? This is. I'm speaking to the majority of people that just have a go-kart and they just want to go out and have fun. I'm not talking, to the kids that just got back from Vegas or their aspirations are car racing and this is just a stepping stone to get there. But for a lot of us, our karting is our release. It's our outlet. This is how we escape life. And, we get so busy Monday through Friday, we neglect the equipment, and then we show up to the track expecting to have a great time. And if you don't take care of the cart or the equipment, you're not going to have a great time at the track. It is a time-intensive hobby.
It is. And it's funny that you mentioned the aspiration and that it's a stepping stone. I had the blessing to talk with Kurt Burris. I went back with him to Missouri to do a dirt race here, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it was awesome because I got to talk to somebody who is really, he's done it all. I mean, Kurt Burris is, from open motors to dirt to pavement to 450 tires to 550 tires on the front. I mean, the guy's seen everything. And he said that karting it isn't a stepping stone. It's more of a destination. It's not, these guys that come in and try to manipulate it to get their step, whatever. Karting was for the guy that works 40 hours a week. The guy wants to, he can't really afford to do a car, so he wants to, but he still wants to be mechanical and he still wants to work on some junk. And that's what karting is, and it's, I think people have taken it maybe the wrong way. I mean, yes, it's a stepping stone, but in the same breath, it's really not a stepping stone. Karting was, it's a family sport. I mean, I guess you could label it a stepping stone, but.
So I'm going to cut you off for a moment.
Sure.
I'm going to cut you off, Terry, because May 2021, I had that exact outlook on karting. Like you just used the exact words that I would have used. And then I was up at Pat's Acres and that's in your neck of the woods, so I know you know Pat's Acres.
Yep.
And I was talking.
Career isn't complete till you've been there.
Oh, I love that track. I just smiled just saying Pat's Acres. And so I was talking to Chris Agers, the owner out there, and I was having that same argument with him. He looks at me and says, "No, you're wrong." He goes, "It's two different sports. You have grassroots karting, which is what you and I, me, Jason, you, Terry, what you and I want to envision is karting, what it should be and how, etc." And he goes, then you have race karting, which is the national level stuff. We just had the Rock Vegas race. We just had the Super Nationals down in Vegas. And it's like, he goes, those are two different sports, two different industries. And when he said that, I'm listening. It's like, huh. Here's a guy that owns a track. He's been around for a long time.
And I will agree with you. Will agree with you.
And it changed my whole outlook.
But in a nutshell, that's like that's the 1%, right? You're looking at that. I mean, they're seeing that, and I get it. There is that. But karting as a whole, 99% of it is not that. No,
but if you look at the different shops,
that's like the rich people. That's like the 1% that are doing that. Not everybody. I mean, that's what I mean. I don't know that karting evolved as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's there, and I know that that's the. And I'm not arguing the fact you're 100% right. I mean, there is that, but that 1% can't manipulate the other 98% or 99% of really what karting is, because that's really, it is the grassroots deal. That's what karting is. That 1% is, not everybody's going to get to do that. And if you ask me, that's one of the problems with karting, is there's no professional level. Anybody and their brother can go to the Supernats. There's no NASCAR there. There's no carrot to say you got, normally in any kind of look at motorcycles, for example. You don't just go flat track motorcycle. You got to go through your amateur status and intermediate and expert. You don't just get to go from, hey man, I got enough money, I'm gonna go run the experts. They don't allow that. You gotta go through the steps. You gotta win 5 races or whatever it is. You gotta go earn. You don't just get to go. Anybody can go run a shifter.
No, you're right. Because back in the '90s, down here in NorCal, and then back, again, late '90s with the original SCUSA, you couldn't just run pro.
You could if you could afford it and you had the job.
No, you couldn't, because you had to go through S2. You had to do S2, and then they would sign off and they bump you up into pro, and they would knock down. I think it was the last 5 or the last 6 guys in pro would then go down to S2. And then here in NorCal, we had the same thing with the 80 program. You would go to we had 3 tracks. We have Prairie City Karting, PCKarting.com. We have Blue Max Kart Club. We had Kinsman Kart Club. On any given club race weekend, we would have 90 80 shifter carts. 90.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, when I jumped into the 80 class, they go, "No, you're running novice." It's like, "No, I'm not. I'm good. I'm pro." And they go, "You've never raced an 80. Get your ass in a novice and show us you're pro." So I spent 2 years in novice because I was that good. And then then everything kind of changed. The 80 stuff started dwindling. Introduction of the tag. We don't need to go down that road, but the 80s kind of fallen off by the wayside. But I mean, I remember locally, it's like, no, we're not moving you to the pro class. You need to dominate novice if you think you're pro. And we had a lot of good momentum in NorCal with that. And you're right, there is no If you're right now, if your check clears, you can race any class you want, except for masters, and you're under 30.
Right, and and to me, that's why karting doesn't get any respect, because there's no pro division, there's no NASCAR division. You know, the NASCAR, you don't just get there. You gotta go. Sure, I mean, the argument is, even in the late models, you can go. Anybody that can go afford to run a super late model can go run with Jeremy Dawson, Derek Thorne, and all those guys if you can afford it. Whether you have any talent or not, all you need is money, and that is where I think karting needs to maybe say there needs to be an upper echelon where you don't just get there. You gotta get there because you're good enough. You got the Joey Wimsets, you know. You got the Billy Musgraves, the Kyle Wicks. You got, they put in the time. They've gone through the gamut. I mean, but even at that, it's there's just not a pro division.
Yeah.
And
so speaking of Kyle and Connor Wick, are you follow the UAS stuff up there?
Oh, I've been watching Kyle Wick since he was a junior.
Yeah,
so,
I was hoping the Wicks would come up on this show, quite honestly, because I worked for them last year at the Challenge of the Americas stuff, and I knew who Kyle was for a long time because working at Swede Tech, we did his engines for him for a number of years, but I never really worked with them, and there's two things I really learned about the Wick family working with them. You're not going to outwork that family, any of them. I mean, Kyle, Connor, Craig. You're not going to outwork them. And then the thing that I really just love, I'm kind of lazy, so I don't love hard work. But what I absolutely love, because I'm just so passionate about karting, they're like true karters. I mean, they're in karting for karting, and they do the Vortex stuff. Kyle was down at Supernats with the Track Magic program, running the pro class. Connor, he's doing the karting stuff. He runs the UAS stuff. So give us some insight on the Wicks on the UAS program.
Well, in my opinion, I mean, number one, the Wick family are some of the best humans. I mean, let's just erase the whole race thing. They're some of the best human beings you'll ever meet. I mean, just as people, as supporters, as it doesn't matter what you're doing. As an announcer, I did a lot of stuff in the Northwest there, and they were always backing me, always giving me love, just super great supporters. As far as the racing deal goes, I mean, you've worked with Kyle. So, in my personal opinion, you can work with a lot of racers, but nobody thinks like Kyle Wick. Kyle Wick thinks, I had the blessing. He came and sat in on a show with me one day, and he drove to my house, and we had a couple hours to kill before the show, and we sat out on his flatbed trailer that he had here.
Yeah.
And we just talked. And he's talking to me about stuff like, I can feel the spring of the chassis coming off the corner. And on Friday, it's super strong. But after you've gone over the curbs a few times and done this and that spring goes away. And you can't, he's talking to me about stuff that normal people don't even talk about. I mean, you listen to him come off the track. I was at Supernats one year, and he said, there really is no groove here. It's just kind of where you position. I mean, just stuff that the normal guy, the normal karter, he's just not thinking about.
Yeah.
right? I mean, for me, and I'm listening to this guy, and I'm going, God, what are you, man? And like you said, nobody outworks the kid, man. He studies it. He's just, and if you look at him out on the racetrack, he's just, I don't even know how to explain it, man. He's just, I don't know. I'm just, I mean, does that mean you're going to win every time? No, it doesn't. But, my God, just look at the kid. You know,
yeah, I'm biting my tongue a little bit because it's when you're working under certain tents, like you're just pervy to certain things. So I'm biting my tongue, but you're absolutely right about. I mean, how hard he works on stuff. How he discusses things, like listening to him and Gary, and that's the other thing too under the tent. With the GFC tent and Gary and Wick, that whole team. Hunter Pickett, he's another one. When Wick came in, it's Hunter. Let me. Before I say this out loud, I already did, but Hunter's probably the GFC poster child for shifter. Like he's the guy. He was one of the first ones to jump on board the GFC product. He has a high profile name. And I was very curious to see how Hunter and Kyle would interact because they're going to be competitors. Like, and it was so cool to see that, at the end of each run or whatever, Hunter and Kyle, they were always very cordial, always talking. And it was just a very unique interaction. And it was really cool to see. Again, I'm kind of biting my tongue because I don't want to say too much.
Why bite it? Why bite it? Why bite it?
Because
like it is, man.
It's one of those things where
let me put it to you this way: it ain't gonna change him.
Oh no! It's a risk.
You might hurt somebody's feelings a little bit, but
no, it's actually the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. It's a respect of it's a respect for the technology, for the effort, for the whole program that they put together over there. Because you know how racing is. It's the guys that are at the top. They're going to look for every advantage possible, any way possible. That's just how it is.
Yep.
And I could be wrong about this, but I like a lot of people in NorCal know me. I was like, I run my mouth, but there's also areas where I try to be, some half-assed professional, where people can trust that if I see something or I'm involved with something, it stays in the tent, and that's for every tent in the pit. It's
absolutely, man. Hey, you wouldn't be. I mean, hey, that goes without saying. I mean, there's some things you give away, and there's other things that hey, you got to go earn them. So yeah, I totally
exactly. Don't shorten the learning curve for your competitors. But yeah, when you talk about how Kyle talked to you about the flex and the chassis and everything else, like there's sometimes I was sitting there because I was working with Connor, and there's a couple times I'm just sitting there. It's like I'm glad I'm not working on Kyle's kart because it's just like every session. I don't want to say it was a Hail Mary, but it was they're learning, they're doing stuff, they're changing things, and it was like, man, it's like they're getting after it. And then you look at the results, and then here they come, Sunday or main event time, the times are there, and it's a learning process, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to see.
You know what, Jason? And I don't know how much time we have, but here's the deal with that. Is so many new guys come into the sport. I don't care whether it's cars or karts or mini stocks or hobby stocks or whatever the hell it is. And they get so caught up in trying to run up front that they like you said, the learning curve, is huge, and so you got to know when. I mean, how many guys have you known where every year they're doing this, they're doing that, then the next year they're on another cart, so now they got to start all over, or you got some guy that wants to run all this bastard one-off crap that you're going, huh? What? What do you think, right? I mean, just all this crazy stuff, and you're going, it's no wonder you're not fast. You're constantly starting from scratch every year. You don't ever give it. I mean, you can just as easily as you can dial yourself in, you can dial yourself out.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a testament to the.
You kind of got to know,
That's a testament to that national level scene. It's like, I want results yesterday. And if you can't get me the results yesterday, even though I wasn't under your team yesterday,
I'll go to that team.
I'm going to go to that team.
Yeah.
And then in contrast, a couple years ago, we were out of Blue Max. The only reason I have a podcast is so I could talk about myself. I love it. I'm out of Blue Max running the Briggs 206 class. And my buddy out, his name's escaping me right now, and I don't even know why. He was running a CRG, and I'm looking at this thing. This thing was effing clapped out. It looked like hell. And it's like, he saw me looking at his cart and just kind of like, man, just shaking my head. It's like, what? Why is this thing even on the track? He whipped my ass. And I went up to him after the end of the race, and he makes a comment. He goes, "You didn't think this would be fast, did you?" And I go, "No." I go, "You whooped my ass out there." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I know it's ugly and clapped out, but it's fast." And you're looking, and it's an old beat up CRG.
Dude, let me on that same note, not to I'm not trying to one up you or nothing, but
no, go for it.
I've got the same deal. I was at Mike Rollison had the Rotax the Challenge Series that he had early on. This was like in 14, and I don't know, you probably know him. In my opinion, he's one of the best go-karters around. His name is Stefanova Nikhil.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah. The guy's, I love him because he's a rebel.
I think he's a fast karter turned mechanic because of money, right?
Hey.
Like all the other mechanics in the pit?
I don't know about all that, but let me just say, he showed up. We were at Medford.
Yeah.
And there were some boys. I think Wimsett was there. There were some other, there were some boys there. And he comes rolling in. They got like a 69 or 68 Ranchero. They got 2x4s in the stake pockets and plywood. And this cart is sitting on top of the thing. No wheels on it. Just a frame. The wheels are tucked in. They got all their junk underneath this one piece of plywood, and people laughed when they came in.
Well, I'm laughing because you just painted a picture, and I just saw them pull into the track. Yes,
and it looked like Beverly Hillbillies, right? And I mean, they get out, and Steph's got his long hair, and they're just them.
Yeah,
and everybody's kind of chuckling and laughing. And I'm like, y'all can laugh all you want till he puts wheels and tires on it, and then you will not be laughing. And sure as the world, he put wheels and tires on that thing, and I mean, he went to work, dude. He went to work.
Did he?
And and the people that were laughing were no longer laughing. They were just like you said. There's some pretty crude shit that goes awful damn fast. Let me just put it to you that way.
Yeah, there was. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. So you can't always judge. You can't always judge how fast something is by the way. I mean, it can be clean as a clock. But that don't mean it's necessarily, and there's some stuff that looks pretty rough that at the end of the day, you shake your head and go, whoa, that did that?
Yeah, so, and you said it earlier about, like racing and being around it and how, a lot of times some of the shit that you learn just doesn't matter. And I remember one year at the Super Nats, Ron White, I think he finished 4th or 5th in the main event. And I'm watching him come off the track because something was just off. I mean, he was faster earlier in the day or earlier in the week. And it's like, something was just off. And he gets to the scales and him and his mechanic lift the cart off the scale. And his spindle almost fell off the chassis. And I'm looking at him, and it's like, when did that happen? He goes, I don't know, about halfway through the race. And I just remember, like, shaking my head. I physically saw the spindle fall off the cart. And it's like, here, we're at the Super Nats. And this is when the Super Nats were huge in the shifter stuff. And this guy just muscled his cart to 4th or 5th place at the Super Nats with the spindle falling off. And then as you walk through the pitch, you walk through the pitch and you hear the guys complaining, oh, my kid was 4 grams overweight. That's why we're 30th. It's like, wait, no, that's not. It's just that guy got up to 4th or 5th with the best drivers in the country in his class.
With a broken spindle.
Yeah.
And you know what I call that? I call that willing it where you want it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have the best setup ride. So what does that mean? That means you got to will it where you want it. And people don't understand that, but it is the truth. And that's the difference between all these guys, they got this, that. I mean, that's the difference between good and great, is when you can do something like that and you say, okay, hey, this is the hand I'm dealt.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to pull off and get back on and go do it. You can't go replace the spindle.
Yeah. No, the only way that cart would have been good. Yeah, the only way that cart would have been good is if they did the alignment with the busted spindle bearing.
Yeah. So don't
Otherwise, it was a turd.
Your cart's out of alignment.
Yeah.
And you can't get up to the front.
Yep.
That's a perfect example of there was no way that thing was in alignment.
No, absolutely. No, it failed on the track. Yeah.
The guy just flat willed it where he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so you got guys like that. I mean, that's to me, that's the difference between good and great. And by the way, you said you work at SweetTech, or you did?
I used to, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to work there.
You got one of the best, I don't know, in my book, he's from my day. But you got one of the best guys ever working there by the name of Vince Palaio.
Yeah.
Vinny was...
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that guy doesn't talk about his racing. Like, he's pretty to himself.
Let me just tell you this in one word. Money. Money. I'm telling you, man. Vince Palaio, money. Period. End of story. You can argue with me all you want. Vince Palaio, money. Period.
Yeah, no, I had we would have customers call once they found out Vince worked at the shop, and I screened all the calls, so it's like before they could get to Vince, they had to talk to me, and I don't know how many times I've heard, dude, he's a hell of a driver. He's a hell of a driver.
Period.
And then so one day or one year when we were driving down to Vegas, it was just him and I. Rainey flew down, and Vince and I were driving to Vegas, and it's like, hey, dude, why does everyone keep saying you're a damn fucking good driver? And he goes, well, because I am. But he wasn't cocky. He wasn't cocky about it. It was just very nonchalant. Well, because I am. And then he started talking about, all of his racing. And it's like, normally I'm the one talking because I just can't shut up. And it's like, I just shut up and listen to the guy. It's like, holy shit. Like, I'm sitting next to an encyclopedia of racing. Yeah, absolutely.
A karting legend, dude.
Yes.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, I mean, dude, and let me just say this. I mean, these guys that are running now, they're on Cadillacs. These go-karts are Cadillacs.
Yeah.
They're Escalades. Dude, these guys were doing, pardon my French, they were doing shit on stuff that, I mean, dude, it's prehistoric. I mean, Ron Emick, I don't know. I mean, I think it was up until just a couple of years ago. I mean, I watched him in Expert 4 on a pair of BM 130s in Expert 4. Dude, you ain't seen, I can honestly say you have never seen anything. It was the miracle lap. He beat Pruitt by like almost 4 seconds in qualifying. Pruitt ran a 53.9, which at the time, everybody's jaws were on the ground until Ron Emick went out on a pair of BM 130s and ran a 50.91 or some crazy thing, right? And the place was silent. I mean, these guys just don't know. They don't understand what karting was back then, dude. It was, and Peleo was right there in that mix, man. He was one of the best engine builders, not only a driver, but one of the best engine builders and tuners. I mean, I'm sorry, people say, I'm just a Peleo fan. Always have been, always will be.
Yeah. No, it's. I told him one time, I go, man, if I had all your Alcalades, everyone would know, because I would just I'd tell everyone that would listen. But that's just not his. That's just not his style. Yeah.
You know him. You met him. He's just even when I saw him at the Supernats, I hadn't seen him in, because he dated my best friend's sister for a long time, and they were married, and so I used to get to talk to him all the time. But even then, it was. He didn't say much. It wasn't. I knew. Nobody else there really knew, but I knew. I mean, dude, you're talking about a legend in karting. And then he jumped in the Formula Atlantic stuff, and I mean, dude, anything he was in, he was a freaking missile.
Yeah, I remember one year down at Vegas, we were. He was taking care of all the clutch kart stuff, and so it would have been the Leopard stuff, because it was at Vegas and we were at the Rio, and he was getting
that ain't a clutch.
Yeah, that's a clutch. No, he was
you can't adjust it. You can't.
No, you can't. You're right.
That ain't a clutch.
You're right.
That ain't a clutch.
But I mean, he was getting so frustrated because he was trying to do tech support, and he's trying to deal with these people. And so he would ask him, where are the needle settings, etc. And they would look at him, like, you're the engine guy, why don't you tell me? And he goes, well, what are you doing out there? Like, he's being polite about it. I was like, what are you doing? So we go back to the trailer, and he goes, I can't do this anymore. I'm getting too frustrated. I go, what's going on? And he goes, I don't get it. It's like, none of these kids can reach down and touch the needles. Like, they don't know how to adjust the needle. And he was getting so mad because I think we had one kid. I think it was a year we were doing engines for Felipe Fraga, and I think he was the only kid, and then Kyle Spalding. I think those were the only two that really actually got on the needles that were running our engines. And he was getting so frustrated because he goes, I didn't have an engine guy walk up to my engine and tune the needles and pat me on the ass and go, okay, it's going to be perfect. It's like, no, if it didn't work, I started messing with them. And it's like, no one does that anymore.
But see, everything's different now, Jason. Like you used to have flex, right? We used to show up with a toolbox with nothing but flex pipe.
Yeah, I personally didn't, because I never ran those classes, so I never had that stuff.
But what I'm trying to tell you is,
I know what you mean, though.
That's the difference between then and now. I mean, you not only did you have to know, I mean, these clutches, right? They're a glorified NORAM clutch. You can't do nothing to them. So they used to have, Burkos and then after me were the NKT, where they had the little weights that went on I don't know, just crazy. But you had to learn the clutch. You had to know how to adjust the clutch. You had to know that the pipe had an effect on the clutch, and you had to learn how to dial your carburetor and decide if the pop-off was right and this and that, let alone drive the thing and be able to make a lap. I mean, that's what people don't understand. That's where karting has kind of lost its way, in my opinion. Everything's just a remote control. Hey, make me fast. I'll go under this.
It's kind of dumbed down.
It's dumbed down. It's stupid down. I mean, if you ask me, you didn't have, and everybody got all these practice sessions, right? You get this and that. Oh, man, I didn't have any open time. You know what? I can remember being at Pat's Acres where a practice session, you got 2 of them if you were lucky. And they put everybody out there except for the rookies. The juniors and all that weren't there. But anything senior was out there all at once. So basically, all you could do was go out and make sure that the clutch was going to hook and pull off the corner, and maybe get a good run down the straightaway so you could get a good reading on the pipe, and and then it was time to go qualify. These guys now, come on, man. It's sorry. I mean, I love karting, but these guys they got no idea. I mean, karting is that's what I'm saying. Guys like Paleo and Emick and all these guys, Rocky Buff and all the good guys. I mean, God, the list goes on, but they just don't. I mean, these guys were legends just because they ran. I mean, they just could do it all. They could tune. They could. I don't know. And back in the day, Jason, we didn't worry about setup that much. If you had sticky tires and a big motor, you were probably going to win. There wasn't a whole lot of chassis tuning. There was none of this, hey, we're going to go with this longer hub, and I mean, none of that was really.
I'm laughing because
that really wasn't the thing.
I'm pretty sure my first new kart was in '95, and the front end. I don't think you could adjust camber and caster on that kart.
Yeah,
we could do spindle heights, but the spindle heights were just like washers. But I'm trying to remember. I don't think we had caster pills.
Nope.
In the first one,
Probably not.
Then I think we had to drill the frame out and then buy aftermarket pills to do the camber and caster.
Right. Yep. And, I don't know how back far you went, but, they're talking about, you got these juniors, you got this, you got that, oh my God, it's maybe too fast. And, I mean, dude, they used to have juniors running. It was called Junior 3. These guys would be on full-blown open motors. And back in the day, it was all 100cc stuff. It wasn't 125 or anything. But they had juniors with full-blown open motors at 265 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, come on, dude. And they were probably they were faster than a lot of the seniors. And I'm going to tell you right now, there was one kid by the name of Matt Melby, probably the finest junior driver ever to walk the earth in my book. But he was from up here, and was he bloody fast, I mean, so that's my, I know we're probably going over, but that's my, I love karting, and I love the new stuff. I'm not dogging it. It is what it is. It's a technology and all this stuff, but really what I think is so many people are missing, they got all these microns now, and they can ghost this lap and that, back in the day, those guys that were super fast, and honestly, the guys aren't a whole bunch faster than they were back then. And a lot of these places, They were doing it on prehistoric stuff, seat of the pants, like you said, grabbing the knobs.
I never said grabbing the knobs.
Flex here. Well, being able to turn the knobs. You know what I'm saying?
I said needles. I didn't say knobs.
Well, we called them knobs in our day.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, and there was guys running twin carburetors with, so one carb was up top and the other carb you had to reach underneath it. And if you were direct drive, the chain was right there. I mean, these guys are like Iron Men, I mean, yeah, it was just, and nobody's, or these days, nobody's seen, until you've seen 20 sets of twins at Medford. I mean, 270 cc's on methanol. Dude, sorry. It's just a whole nother, I'm just privileged and honored that I grew up in that era, because karting will never, ever be the same as that ever again. I mean, it can't. It's just the way it is now. But, man, I'm telling you, it was
definitely different.
Oh, it was awesome. And you had rivalries and you had heroes. You ask anybody now who's like, man, back in the day, you had heroes. I know when I was go-karting, man, I always wanted to be like Pruitt or Scott Seligren or, Rick Gifford or Ron Emick or Paleo or, Harlan Willis, Jeff Nelson. I mean, there were so many just, the list goes on and on and on. Doug Cressy and, oh, God. Obviously, Lynn Haddock, probably the legend of all time. He probably knows more about karting than anybody, And Phil Fowl, I mean, come on, dude. This guy's been around since he's 58. His dad invented the AAA muffler for the McCulloughs. And, I mean, just so much history that nobody knows that paved the way for all of this.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's fair to say there's no heroes nowadays, because it's like, I don't know. The first one that kind of comes to my mind is probably Ryan Norberg. I'm sure there's a lot of younger kids that look up to him. And, I mean, he just won his 5th Supernats. And I see it at the local Sonoma stuff, where it's like the younger kids, they always gravitate towards the fast kid in the class above them.
And you're probably right. That's probably not fair to say that. I mean, I guess I was probably, when I was fresh and new and in it and all that, I was reading every Carter news and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, yeah. So you're right. I'm probably off on that point. I'm just saying that it was.
Yeah, it's definitely different times. It's definitely different times.
Yeah. I mean, everything is just way different. And so for a guy like me that comes from back then, I'm probably a lot like Vince. I'm just kind of like, man, this is. It was just hard to, all that. I mean, there used to be, you could pick motors, and everybody had. There was. I don't even know. It's just so hard to explain. There was rivalries and just all kinds of stuff that just doesn't seem like there is now. But maybe that's just because I'm a little bit more out of touch. So.
Yeah, I think it depends on where we focus, because it's, again, if you travel the national scene, it's a whole different karting experience than if you just go out to, Blue Max or Dixon or Prairie City and stick to the local, or in your neck of the woods, if you just go out to Canby, that's it. You just go out to Pat's Acres and kind of watch what's going on there. He's like, yeah, you had the fast guy show up on practice.
We didn't have national. I mean, we had the national stuff, but even the regional stuff, like we had a thing called the Gold Cup there,
Oh yeah,
we
Region
it'd
6.
be like what a national is today. I mean, you go to a Gold Cup, a regional race, and there'd be, 250, 300 guys. It's just.
Well, the very first kart race.
Heavy ran on Saturday, or light ran on Saturday, heavy ran on Sunday. There weren't all these 38 classes for medium and intermediate and 3/4 light and purple plate and all this crap. There was none of that. You could pick this motor. Region rotaries weighed this. A piston port weighed that. If you made weight, you could make it. If you didn't, oh well. I mean, you figure. I mean, it's just there wasn't all this. I mean, now, sheesh. I mean, I remember I went to the Grands in Medford. There was like 38 different classes. I mean, it was crazy. Light, medium, intermediate, 3/4. I mean, I don't know. It's just. I mean, I'm not really dogging it. I'm just saying it's just way different.
It is different.
And they cater to way too many classes. There used to be light and heavy. Here's what lightweight. Here's what heavyweight. If you could make it, you ran light. If you couldn't, you ran heavy. Or if you didn't want to make it, you ran heavy and light, or you ran super heavy and heavy. You know what I mean? And I mean.
Well, and then down here, like with the 4-stroke stuff, we were getting to that point. They had our NorCal regional 4-stroke series was KPX, or is KPX, and they were at that point of 30, 40 seniors in the class. Like, okay, well, do we go light and do we go heavy? And the masters, they were split. It's like it was getting to that point, and then the introduction of the IAME 100, and it's like, it just killed all that momentum. And I was really excited to see if we could get some of these other same engine, just light or heavy. That's it. Yep.
And you're right. I mean,
we had juniors moving into the senior class, adding 80 to 90 pounds to a go-kart. It's like, this is stupid. It's like, here I am.
And like I do, the first 10 pounds, you can add it wherever you want. The next 70, you're just going wherever it'll fit, put it on. So yeah, I mean, no go-kart, no. I mean, come on, dude. They used to have region rotaries in heavy class that weighed 360. So I mean, for a 4-stroke to weigh 400 pounds, I mean, shoot, dude, that used to be super kart weight when we were racing.
Yeah, I think when we were doing the 80s down here, I think the first year I ran 80, the class weight was 340 in an 80 shifter.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Now they got 4-strokes weighing over 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Go figure. I mean, hello. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm just saying, it's just crazy. I mean, I remember when Yamaha light, Reed rotary light, super stock light. I mean, there was a time when light was 280 pounds.
Yeah. But then also looking at it though, I mean, back then you guys had one piece of metal for a bumper, where now you have, the Nerf bars, the plastic bumpers, the front bumper, the rear bumper.
There was all that. There was rear bumpers. They weren't plastic. They were steel. They had steel rear bumpers and front bumpers and Nerf bars. And
that's what I mean, though. But back then, you guys only had
side pods and noses and all this stuff. Yeah.
That's what I mean. But that's all you guys had. You just had one hoop. That was it.
Yeah.
So the karts now do way more. But
yeah. But I mean, it's just, and it did go up. It went from 280 to 310. I think then at one time I think light was 320, but, you had reeds and rotaries, now everything, now, I mean, there's just no, I mean, that's what made it so cool was, some guys ran reeds, some guys ran rotaries, some guys ran piston ports. I mean, they all did it for different reasons. I run a reed because I like this. I run a rotary because I like the mid-range. I like this. I like that. I mean, everybody had their own reason for doing it, and you could do it. Here's the motor. Here's the weight. If you want to run this, here's what you got to weigh. Now, that's not so much. I mean, I don't know. I'm just from the old school, and I'm not really trying to dog karting. I'm just saying things are just a lot different.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. You know, there's going to be kids out there that may or may not be listening to this. And it's like in 10, 15 years, oh, karting was so different when I raced.
No, for sure. I mean,
just look at the last 3 years.
If you brought up 4-stroke there, you were kind of like, hey man, we don't need we don't need our lawn mowed, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
I mean,
we still say that,
but that's kind of how that was kind of the reception you got.
Yeah, no, we still say
I
that.
mean, and nobody ever thought shifters on a sprint track were ever going to make it. Nobody. It was like you bring a shifter to a sprint track, they'd say, "Oh no, you're a little early. You need to keep going another 30 miles down to PIR. The road race track is down there." No, it's just the whole time thing is. You're right. It's just when you came in 90, 95,
95.
Yeah. So. I mean, by then, everything had already progressed, and it was already starting to go to the new stuff. I mean, so, it's just, and you notice there's no open class anymore. Open class used to be that's where all the dogs were. That's where all the hot dogs was in there were some guys in the stock stuff, but, all the really fast guys and all of them, they wanted to be in the open class. Expert 2, Expert 3, all that stuff, 100 opens, so, yeah. Could you imagine an open Rotax or an open Miami or an open Leopard or something ask Valiente,
I've actually kind of floated that around the past couple of years. It's like, again, I don't want to be a race promoter or a series promoter, but I something like the UAS, but in sprint karting, I think would be a very surprising following if done properly.
Yep. What about that? I don't know. Maybe you've seen it more than I have, but they had that Wankel. That 65 horse thing, whatever, they were running on a sprint cart there for a while, a rotary deal.
I saw it one time. I think Danny Formel.
I think it was ran at the Supernats, or they ran it somewhere down there doing some testing.
They did a demo. I think I said the one time I saw it. I think it's what you're talking about. Danny Formel was driving it at Newcastle, and the thing just hauled ass. But I don't know if sprint karts need to go faster. I don't think that's the problem. There's plenty of options to go faster.
No, I get it.
So it's it's kind of like, it's kind of a cool. I guess it was kind of cool, but yeah, I honestly don't know why it didn't take off. I don't know if it was expensive. I personally didn't care for it. To me, it looked like someone shit on the side of a cart and called it an engine. And who knows? Maybe it was the most advanced engine ever. I don't know, but it definitely was not sexy. It's like that Honda CR250F that tried to replace, the 125. It looks like a turd. It's like it just not. It looks like some guy on YouTube built the cart and go, I'm going to put a GXR in a go-kart and do 40 miles an hour, and I'm going to do burnout.
Right, I get it. Yeah. But when Remy brought down that 275 barrel for Giotti, did you see that motor on that PK 250? It's like a PK 275.
The single cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still at Sweet Tech when Rainey was working on that. Yeah, that. So, and to me, that stuff was cool. It's like you could have,
and that was a 2-stroke. That was actually more a go-kart motor. But I don't know if you haven't seen any of the 450 stuff, and they got Jawas on these things now, single-cylinder 500 Jawas that were out of the old Speedway bikes, like Bruce Penhall used to run. I mean, dude. And they're running them on methanol, and this stuff is.
I've seen the stuff that Hager posted on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, you ain't never seen you haven't seen horsepower like that anywhere. Hager's got some of the dude. It's stupid how fast that thing is.
Yeah. Again, it's just
I'm
that
not
technology.
kidding. I'm not saying. I mean, there's probably a lot of guys that can do a lot of stuff, but then you go back east and you got guys like Evan C. that's on a BRC 150, and that thing is an absolute. I mean, it doesn't matter where he goes. That thing is bloody fast because they get a weight break, and but in that deal, it's all about tires.
That's what I've heard.
On the dirt, it's all prep now, man. It's these guys, the pavement guys think they know about tires, but they really don't know shit. And so you got to do prep and understand your track, and they got stuff for dusty tracks and wet tracks and gravelly tracks and sandy tracks, and you got to know when to wipe and how much to wipe on and whether you put it on the inside or the outside. I mean, dude, it's a science, man. It's a science. So, I mean, we could go on and on for like 8 hours, but I know you probably got to go. But I'm just saying, I love karting. I always have. I always will. I wish they could get together and come up with something that will. I think we're missing the boat if we only cater to the 1%ers. I think we got to get back to making karting a grassroots deal, because that's, back in the day, whenever you ran your club races, your regional races or whatever, I mean, they were all run like the national events so that you could get practice when you did go to the nationals. You don't really, I mean, maybe you see that, maybe I'm missing it, but, you used to have to run a spring national, you used to have to get a punch, and you have to, there were some things you had to do that made it, it separated the men from the boys, and if you really wanted to do it, you had to put in the work, and so.
But I think, I'm going to let you wrap up the show with a plug for what you're currently doing, but we just don't have enough karters in the sport to do anything that you're mentioning. If you required people to have a punch, then you'd have 5 guys at the Supernats.
But they used to do it all the time. And go to Medford. They had 500 and some entries there.
Exactly.
Right?
Entries.
So it's
that's exactly it. We had at the local level, we had 100 to 200 entries at club races every single weekend. And people, the clubs now are happy. It's like, yeah, we had 40. It's like, that used to be a class, not a whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the worst thing they ever did was they did away with the novice light and novice heavy. You can't tell me any different, because if I'm a new guy and I come into karting and there's no novice class and I'm 18 and I'm deciding I'm going to get in it, and I'm not saying that Carlton runs this now, but if you got to run against guys like Carlton or this or that, the hot dogs in whatever class, and you're just beginning, and there's no real class for you to learn and race against your own and people of your own talent, how long do you think they're going to last?
Not very long.
They're not going to last very long.
Yeah,
no.
but then locally you'd have
for a few weeks.
Yeah, but then locally you'd only have 5 guys in the pro class.
Right, but I mean,
because we don't have entries.
IKF used to have a novice light, novice heavy. There'd be
because they had entries.
Guys in that class.
Yeah, because they had the entries to do it. Yep.
But
so Terry, I'm gonna let you wrap up the podcast. Plug what you're currently doing.
Yep. Check me out. We're Monday nights. We're kind of off this winter because everything kind of slows down. It's called Motorsports Monday. We're on Monday nights at 7 p.m. We're on for an hour. We try to keep everybody up to date on what's going on in the late model stuff. If there's a big kart race, we try to touch on that. We're big UASers. We love that, but we just don't. We try to get the results and some of the stuff from some of the pavement stuff. It's just super hard to try to cover everything, but we do try to cover all the pavement stuff here in the Northwest. And we love NorCal. I love Chris Gibb. You know Chris Gibb?
Chris who?
Chris Gibb. Do you know who Chris Gibb is?
I don't think so, no.
Check him out. I love Tim Chappie Chapman. You know who Chappie is, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yep. Love the guy. So, yeah, we're here every Monday night. We're just during the winter, we kind of shut it down just so hopefully everybody gets the itch. So when we come back in March, they're fired up. But thanks for letting me be on the show. I just want to say if there's anything I can do or our show can do to help your podcast, just let me know. I'm all about that.
I mean, so somebody told me a couple years ago, I think it was Henry Damus, one of our local guys, and it was such a stupid, brilliant statement. It was just, if all of us just got one person into the sport a year, it would double.
It would.
And I look at it, it's like, how... It's not hard to get one person in the sport a year. One person each.
Right? They need to have a ride day at some of these local races, right? Local things. Hey, come on out, promote it. Come on out, free ride day. Have a couple guys that are willing to give up their car, a couple four-strokers. You're not going to put them on anything super fast, or a 206. Come on out, take a ride, give them 4 or 5 laps, and get them hooked.
Yeah, I don't like the free idea, and this is why. Karting is an expensive hobby.
Why?
So I think there needs to be a financial hurt to trying it out.
To check it out to see if you like it?
Absolutely. Just to make sure that, because if someone goes in, oh, it's free, and then they find out, oh, it's going to cost $1,500 or $2,000 to buy a cart, get on the track, etc. Oh, that's way too much money. Then
I guess
it needs to be a filtering process. But I agree with you. NCK Road Racing, they started doing it the last couple of races with Illuminos. They do arrive and drive. You call Illuminos. I don't know what the fee is. I imagine it has to be somewhere between $300 and $500 for the race weekend. You show up, you get in a cart, you get to go race.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And hey, you go pay for the NASCAR deal, right? So I guess you're right. That's not free. So you go pay for that to get the experience.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the problems that we have as an industry without, rambling on about how bad karting is. There's no sales funnel. It's like we're not using the funnels we have properly. It's like we use Briggs. Oh, Briggs is going to save karting. No, it's not. The engine builders can't make any money on a 206. Well, it's really used to get rid of your old shit, get someone new into the sport at a good price level, and then you need to get through about 100 of those people to find the 5 or 10 that can go to a KA or a VLR or a GP or a shifter. And I think there's a great ecosystem in that. And you're not ignoring the guys that are sticking to Briggs. You're not ignoring them, but you're using it as a filter. Like I said, you're getting rid of some of your older chassis. But I think it would be very, very difficult to build a true race team strictly on the Briggs platform.
Oh, yeah. Nobody's going to do that.
Actually, hold for a second. We got someone calling in. This is Jason. Oh, maybe I missed him.
Call him back.
Let's see here. See, that's what I was trying to do earlier with my wife. I was trying to call. Let's see. You still hear me? Terry? Terry, you there? Terry, you there? Looks like I lost both of them. All right, so I'm going to hang tight for a second because I lost Terry. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't... This stuff shouldn't be that hard, but... Or maybe this is just a good sign to call it. Hey, Terry. Well, Terry's not listening because... All right, sorry for the dead air. Not really sure what happened there. I tried to toggle over to somebody that was calling in. And so I lost both those numbers. All right, like I said, maybe that's just what we'll cut it off right there. So if you're listening, thank you very much. Stay tuned to NorcalKarters.com on the calendar because a calendar, we are updating it. The Rock Sonoma, they have their calendar out. Challenge Karting, they have their calendar out. KPX, they have their dates out. We're waiting on tracks. So when they have their tracks put together, we'll get them on the calendar. And if you're a club, a promoter, etc., and your program, there's interest in Northern California or Northern California kart racers, reach out to me, and we will get you on the calendar. Okay, hold on for a second. Norcal Karters is Jason.
Jason, what's going on, man?
What's up? Who is this?
Chris Borges.
Chris, what's up? I don't have caller ID on
you?
this line.
How are you doing?
I'm good. You're live on Norcal Karters.
Awesome. No, I was listening in, man. It was actually some pretty interesting conversation going on there.
I appreciate it. So, Chris, tell the listeners who you are.
Well, in the world of go-karting, I'm kind of nobody, to be honest.
Well, I know who you are.
I help. Well, I help James Monaco out. And for those who don't know, James Monaco is an ex-AMA Pro fly track motorcycle racer. And I was a mechanic on the AMA Pro fly track circuit. And obviously, if you know James got injured and kind of made the decision to, hey, let's go go-karting. Let's go, experience this and check it out. And now we're go-karting.
Oh man. And it's, yeah. And that is how we met. I mean, it's out at Sonoma there.
Yeah. We met at Sonoma, and it's been pretty awesome, man. Pretty awesome. I didn't know what to think, because we like in the winter times, we would drive, our dirt carts, with little brigs on them and have fun. It was just a winter hobby, and and now things have turned out the way they have, and man, it's really amazing, the whole asphalt scene and everybody up at Sonoma, and it's just a great group of people to be involved with.
Yeah, no, it's now you know why I'm hooked on karting.
I know, and it's sad because now, I mean, I'm the same way. It's like I'm constantly looking, trying to get myself an asphalt cart, and it's awesome. It's really an amazing group of people, and just I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably my job, in NorCal Karters. That's my job, is to help figure out how to get more people into the sport. At any level, it almost doesn't matter whether it's local or national. Just like getting people in there, getting them out, get them on the track, and just getting the word out there. No,
exactly, and I think you do a pretty dang good job at doing that. So,
I need a lot of work, but I'm trying. It's I used to say I need to clone myself. And then I realized, no, I don't need to clone myself. I need someone exact opposite of me that, can put their head down on a single task and get it done. Because I've realized at 45 years old, that's not me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get it done. 5 seconds later, oh, look, this is a new project. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get it done. And yeah, so I have 5,000 projects out there.
I mean, welcome to the club. We all got a million projects, and none of them are finished. So.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, some of the stuff I'm working on for NorcalKarters.com, working on, a resources page so someone knew that they stumble across the site. Okay, how do we get them in a cart as fast as we can? That's it. What is your experience level? Let's get you in a cart. Boom, these are the tracks that offer rentals. Done deal.
No, I mean, I think that's definitely the best way to go about it, to be honest. I mean, I hate to say it, but the stigma, you tell people about go-karts, they think boomers or they think, K1 speed. Like, they don't know that there's actual, a racing go-kart.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
And it's kind of like, I feel like a black eye in a sense, because, obviously I come from the motorcycle world, and you tell people, oh, yeah, we're going go-kart, and they're like, go-kart? What do you mean go-kart? And, they don't really think it as a serious sport, but it's like, we've brought a couple people from the motorcycle world up, and it's like, I tell people all the time when I do go back to the motorcycle races, I'm like, you guys will not understand how insane and how intense this go-karting stuff is until you show up. I can sit here and tell you this till I'm blue in the face, but you have to physically experience it to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so true. And, K1. Yeah, it's, I don't knock the indoor stuff because there's great value in indoor karting. Like, I think indoor karting is really, made people aware of karting, but unfortunately it's like, oh, it's indoor. It's like, no, it can be, but there's so much more to it.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Sorry, bear with me for a second because I'm going to tag you on Facebook since you called in.
Okay.
So how is your first, you guys have been out there a little over a year, right? Out at Sonoma?
Yeah, so James has been out there year and a half, I would say, because 2020 I was still doing mechanic stuff on the motorcycle side of things.
Yeah.
So I kind of started coming around it the winter of 2020, and then pretty much from that point on, yeah, I've been kind of full bore with the go-kart stuff. So
yeah, no, it's been sorry, I'm tagging you on Facebook. Yeah, it's just it's such a weird deal with the karting stuff and getting involved. And I mean, you guys have had a major learning curve. And then now, did you get involved because of Mike DeRosier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, Mike's the one that, when James got hurt, that was like the first thing, I think James was still back in Minnesota and he was getting pictures of a go-kart being built. So yeah, we got introduced through Mike to the go-kart thing.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I've known Mike for years. It's the first kart shop I worked at, KLS Racing. Mike was the head mechanic, and I was the head salesman. And Mike's always been grateful. Yeah, Mike's always been, definitely been. He's a motorcycle guy. Mike's definitely a motorcycle guy.
He is at heart, but man, the guy loves go-karting, man. I tell you what, the stories he tells us and just, all the stuff that he puts us onto and the people, and, it's pretty amazing. It's almost, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to think about that because, we're new stepping into this whole world. So it's like, and from the motorcycle side of things, me and James are both like enthusiasts of like the history of the sport and all that. So like now coming into go-karts, we're the same way. We're like, man, we want to like, who's Gary Carlson? Who's Ron White? So like we're over here Googling, searching, YouTubing, finding all this crazy stuff, kind of learning about who these guys are. And it's really neat to see all the things that, all these different people that are up at Sonoma have accomplished, throughout their go-kart racing career, and even cars and whatever else they have ventured out to do.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things too that kind of caught me off guard with James. With it's a couple months ago, I'm just sitting there and he starts sending me a text, and he sent me a picture of a track in Lodi, and he goes, "Hey, what do you know about this track in Lodi?" It's like, I didn't know there was a track in Lodi. And he goes, "Yeah, it's right down the street from the Cycle Bowl." And I don't know why. I'm an idiot. I mean, I definitely know I'm an idiot. But I thought the Cycle Bowl was over there at the right off of not Turner, but the next street, like kind of downtownish. And it's like I think they call it the Great Bowl or something. And I've drove around there. I was like, where's the bike track? Like, where's the motorcycle track? Where's it at? And then James sent me the address, and it's like, oh, the Cycle Bowl's over on the east side of 99. I'm like 5 miles off. It's like, okay.
Yeah. No, it's right off 99 off of a Morse Road, and it's pretty cool. Pretty cool story, actually. It's, it's at the end of a dead-end road of Morse Road, and it's literally, you drive up to it and it's a big bowl, and they dug that hole for the dirt for Highway 99 when they were building 99. And, I guess a bunch of guys on bikes rode up one day and were like, "Hey man, we could build a track here and right here." And it was far enough off the beaten path. And next thing you know, I mean, it's one of the, I think it's the second oldest running dirt track in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
But there's one more track in Peoria, Illinois, that they ran like a year or two more. But yeah, it's still the second oldest running dirt track in the USA.
Okay, so there's a lot of history there.
Oh, tons of history. It's crazy. And then yeah, like you mentioned, I remember. So I mean, we both grew up racing motorcycles at Lodi, and I remember being a kid driving down Morris Road, going to the track, and my uncle would be like, "Hey, yeah, see those light poles?" I'm like, "Yeah, I see them." He's like, "Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to come over here and drive my go-kart." I'm like, "Really?" Because, I mean, you just see a couple of houses, and you don't really see much out there. And he's like, "Yeah, there used to be a really cool go-kart track out there." And I was like, "Wow, that's cool," And so I never really thought much of it. And then, fast forward, now we're head deep into go-karting, and kind of doing a little research here and there, asking a few people, and yeah, I mean, you can Google Map it, and you can still see the layout of the course. It's still there.
Yeah, I spent like a half hour just like kind of nerding out just on Google Maps. Like, oh, okay, it's like, yeah, even on Google Maps, you still see the outline of it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I know when I think we were coming back from Sonoma, it might have been practice, because James's brother was racing, and I still helped him as far as wrenching and stuff at races. And I was like, "Hey man," I was in front of him, and I stopped in the road, and there's an older couple out, and I'm like, "Hey, do you guys know, is there a go-kart track over here?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm like, "How long have you guys lived here?" They're like, like 60 years. And I'm like, "Oh, so you guys definitely remember the go-kart track?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, we do." And I was like, "Well, is there any of it left?" And they're like, "No, I don't think so. There's some houses and stuff." And so I didn't want to intrude on people's property, but,
yeah.
I decided I'll check out Google Maps and see if we can't see anything. And yeah, like I said, you can visibly see the racetrack still there, and there's still a light pole or two out there. And it's pretty cool, man. I wish, we have to travel about 2 hours, weekly from down here in the valley up to Sonoma. That's the main place where obviously we drive. And it's like, man, it'd be cool if there were more places down in the valley that were, had go-kart facilities for us to drive.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have Stockton, you have Prairie City, you have Dixon, you have Blue Max.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
And then where do are you guys
just,
out of Modesto?
James is out of Modesto. I'm out of Manteca, which is like 20 minutes from him.
Okay. Yeah, so a little bit further south than you have Fresno.
Yeah, it's just, we're so spoiled with Sonoma, man. Sonoma's just so awesome.
I know.
It's like, we don't, it's hard, I mean, we love Dixon. We go to Dixon during the winter, and we'll go beat around out there. But it's like, man, Sonoma's kind of like a mecca for California and go-kart tracks. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is hard to beat. I mean, it's a proper kart track for current faster karts.
Yeah.
So what do you think about let's see, it should be done by now, the new tic-tac-toe section. Have you and James talked about it at all?
Yeah, we've talked about it, shared photos and stuff. And I mean, I've never been on the track, so I mean, track looks smooth as glass to me, but yeah, from what James said, it was kind of rough over there, and I'm assuming that's going to be a positive fix for the racetrack, them repaving it and all that. And so I guess we'll see. Hopefully we'll get out there here soon, get James back in the car. Kind of took a little break after the season and stuff, and continue to get him back and get him back driving. The season will be here before we know it. So
that's right. Yeah. Now, what are your plans for next year? 2022. It's like 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much the same. We'll be up there at Sonoma. We're going to try to attack the series again and just keep improving, man. It's just like we're on such a steep learning curve. It's like everybody that's up there for the most part, they've done this since they were little kids, so they understand it, they get it. They know the changes to make. They know what different axles, what the metals do, and this and that, and caster and camber, and it's like, so like I said, I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm green, and James is green, so it's like we're trying to take all this info in and retain it, and just trying to be the best that we can. But at the same time, we're realists too, and we know it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time.
Yeah, and you know what? It's one of those things that if you jump in and try to get it to the track as much as possible, then it definitely shortens the learning curve. And don't be afraid of making changes on a practice day. Just try it, see what happens.
Yeah, no, and honestly, we're surrounded by awesome people. Ron White, Mike, Mike DeRozier. The go-kart community is so awesome, man. There's always a hand, somebody that's always willing to lend a hand, or like, hey man, like maybe try this or do that. And it's like, from where we come from, it's like, if somebody figures out something setup wise, they're keeping their lips shut. They're not saying anything. And it's like, here people are just willing, hey, try this, try that, try this, try that. And it's like, wow, it's completely different than what we're used to. But it's like, it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys are, I mean, you already said it, you came from the pro AMA ranks. Yeah. And Terry and I were talking about this earlier on the show. You get to that pro level. It's like, why am I going to help a competitor shorten their learning curve at the pro level? And then you get into I think it's like, I'm sure if you went out to, Cycle Bowl on a club weekend and you were a new guy, people would be helping you out with the bike stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right.
If they didn't know who you were. I mean, everyone's friendly till you beat them.
Yeah, no, that is fair to say. You are right on that point. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Just really, really thankful for the people we've met, and yourself included. And it's just really, really awesome to be a part of the whole go-kart community.
Yeah, well, and I think it goes both ways too, because I'm speaking for me personally, I like watching the progress. I like watching, especially the story with James and you. I don't know if the listeners missed it, but James has a hand control kart. He's paralyzed from the chest down, and it's that I don't know the right word because I'm not great with words, but it's that story. It's that you're following along. It's like, man, it's like we're all rooting for James. It's like, he's out there, and it's like I think everybody recognizes his learning curves and your learning curve is going to be steeper. Because why don't you talk about some of the obstacles you guys have had just trying to do a hand control kart?
I mean,
I think that sums it up right there. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's never ending. I mean, from, foot holsters to keep his feet in to the hand controls themselves. I mean, we've had to modify those a bunch to get him to where he's comfortable. And then it's like, obviously he doesn't have the same feelings everybody else does. So, feedback, and it's like, there's so much that goes into it. It's different than like, your average able-bodied person. But it's like, me and him talk about it, and there's like, man, there's beauty in the struggle though. Even though it is a struggle, we know, like, I'm not giving up. He's definitely not giving up. So it's like when that time comes, for him to say get a win or get a podium, it's like it's all going to be worth it. And like I said, we find beauty in the struggle, and that's a lot of people don't necessarily, but we do, and that's what keeps us driving and keeps us plugging along.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think it's I'm probably speaking a little bit out of context with. I can't speak for everybody, but it's kind of weird. Like in society, it's like we cheer for certain people till they have a certain amount of success, and then we root against them. And then it's kind of that weird dynamic. And I think everybody at the track is like, "Come on, James! Like we're all pulling for you." It's like we want to see that first win up there, and it's like and the effort you guys put in, it's gonna come.
No, it will. And like I said, I believe it, and I know James does. And I know there's some days where maybe he doubts it, or even is this really, capable? But then there's those glimmer of hopes, where he puts in a solid race and he's battling with people, and we're like, dang, dude, those guys are really good, like, all right, we could do this. So then it just puts a little more lead in our pencil, and we just keep on trucking, man. And that's all we can do at this point, and we'll get there. We got faith, and we got a lot of awesome people behind us, backing us, and there's no reason why it can't be done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I met one guy out at Prairie City a couple weeks ago. I talked to him like maybe 2 months ago. And then met him. I've actually met him a couple of weeks ago, and he's in a chair as well. He came from motorcycles. And, he knew about James' story, and it's like, it's cool to see, like, it's okay. Get the word out there. Then, what I would love to see is like you walk into a kart shop, and instead of being a clusterfuck to build a hand control kart, it's like, yeah, we have it done in a week. It's X amount of dollars. Boom. We'll meet you at the track. It'll be done. I don't understand why some of the kart shops haven't, gone that direction already. Because, I mean, most of the kart shops I talk to, they're all talking about, oh, we need more business. Well, there's plenty of business out there if you're looking.
No, I mean, I agree. And it's, that it's kind of cool. We've seen some stuff that, Levi Wasik has done, obviously a former motocross kid that got injured, and now he's, racing go-karts, and shoot, he was at Rock the Rio, and now at Supernats this last weekend. And so it's like, I think everybody can kind of learn from each other and kind of make one solid package, and that's kind of the cool part to it, because like I said, I'm sure there's people that are paralyzed that are like, man, I wish I could do something. And if they, happen to see James in a go-kart, or Levi, in a go-kart, and they're like, wow, look at that, that guy could do it. Like, why can't I do that? And then that just turns more people on, and it's just, I think it's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just, it's a great sport. I mean, it's so much fun. And if you're listening out there, it's like, oh, I don't really want to race. I just want to go drive. There's plenty of opportunity for those that don't want to race just to go drive too. I mean, that's personally all I've done lately. I go out on a Thursday out to Prairie City, and I just go pound laps. And I'm content with that. I actually kind of like it. I get my 30, 40, 50 laps in, and it's like, all right, it's lunch. I'm going home.
No, and that's the cool thing. Some people got tee times, and some people got go-karts, and they go drive on Thursdays, man. Everybody's itch is different, and, there's nothing. You don't have to be a racer. You can just go out and, enjoy yourself in a go-kart, on a Thursday or a Saturday, and just spend some laps and bring a lunch and, have fun.
Yeah. No, it's a great sport to do that with. And then, yeah, man, I'm glad you called in. It's like, I saw the number come through. It's like, I've been experimenting with the call-in stuff, and so I lost Terry Bridges. He was the guest on before you called in. So it's like, he was on hold, and I don't know what happened with the program, but it wasn't allowing me to merge his call with your call. So eventually we just hung up on him. But yeah, it's yeah, again, I mean, I really appreciate you calling in. And like for 2022, what do you want to see? Like from Norcal Karters, how can we get the show in front of more people? How can we get go-karts in front of more people? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, honestly, I think they're doing a pretty killer job. I mean, I don't know, maybe, from watching a lot of YouTube stuff, which I don't know if this is something you could do, but maybe like, yeah, it'd probably be hard you're announcing, but like maybe like race weekend vlogs.
Yeah.
Where you go around and kind of, show, whatever, show the Ron White team or show the, the GFC team and, just talking to your buddies or talking to drivers and just make like, little vlogs. So that seems, especially with the youth nowadays, that seems like a huge thing, are these vlogs on YouTube. Because they can, without actually having to go there, they can see it, and maybe that'll light a fuse. So they're like, oh man, like I'm gonna go there next weekend, or I'm gonna go next race. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and when you say that, the first thing that comes to mind is Kart Chaser, and sure. I first heard about Kart Chaser a couple of months ago from Vinny Cervelli, Sonny's dad, and they go, oh, do you know who he is? And it's like, I've heard the name Xander. I was like, I don't know. The name sounds familiar. I don't know who he is. And a lot of that, honestly, is just because I don't follow a lot of karting that I'm not really that interested in, which is pretty pathetic for me to say out loud. But it's, he's a tag guy. He X30 driver, the Midwest, East Coast type racing. I didn't pay attention to much of that stuff unless I personally knew someone racing. It's like, and then even then I kind of like, yeah, but it doesn't bang gears. But Xander's doing a hell of a job with that Kart Chaser thing. It's like, it kind of got me a little fired up. It's like, yeah, there is a lot of potential. Just in our NorCal region.
No, I mean, there really is. And it's like, it's funny even you mentioned Kart Chaser, because it's like, I mean, I just started Googling or YouTubing, go-kart racing or whatever I was, YouTubing at the time, and like he popped up, and I mean, I spent hours. I mean, I was going through rounds and rounds and rounds that he was following. And I'm like, man, this is cool, and then that spins off into Ryan Norberg's page, and I'm like, who's Ryan Norberg? Oh, I'm green to go-karting. I don't know who this guy is.
Yes.
Start doing a little, research, like, oh, this guy's really badass, and Connor Zillich. I'm like, okay, who's this guy? And then it's just like it just spins off, and it's like it's just a really, I mean, you could waste a day easily just watching all these different people.
There's been a few people that said, dude, your stuff kind of sucks, and I go, I know, I'm trying to work on it, I just don't know where, how, etc. I probably know how. It's probably the fact that my mindset about Norcal Karters is a little bit different, meaning I'm not trying to make it my primary business. My primary business is extra kart parts. It's not Norcal Karters, which is probably not the best way to approach a business. But yeah, someone said, have you seen Ryan Norberg's stuff? And it's like, no, isn't he like 12? And I've heard his name for years, but I mean, in my head, he's a junior driver. And I have a hard time wrapping my head around that Joey Wimsett's running Masters. Like it's, it's like, yeah, he's a junior driver. I started watching his stuff. It's like, oh my God, his stuff is really, really good. He should race shifter.
No, I know, and it's like, I don't know, like, is that maybe a goal to get to shifters, or for somebody like that that's so dominant, are they going to just stay in senior X30?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I if he jumped in a shifter, he's going to be fine. He's going to do very well. I think it translates all. I think it's a matter of what you're interested in. I mean, it's, I honestly don't believe that you have to go to shifter to be at the pinnacle. I think it's probably, it's harder to win an X30 race than probably a shifter race at the same level.
Yeah.
Because I think in the X30 stuff, the talent is just so much deeper. Without saying the talent is better, it's just deeper.
Well, it's different, I feel, the little I've seen, it's like, out here it's more kind of shifter based, I feel. Yeah. And you look at like Midwest and stuff, and it's all tag stuff. Like the shifter class isn't as big over there. And it's like, okay, so, it's just different, and I don't know why, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's, the powerhouses and what they're pushing behind each product. And yeah, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it's, but it's kind of done that for years. Since I've been kind of like paying attention to national level stuff, I remember the West Coast, if it was shifter racing, you weren't going to touch a West Coast driver. Don't even try it. Don't even show up. Just pack your shit, go home, give the trophy to a West Coast guy. And then it shifted. And it started becoming these East Coast guys, especially out of Canada, started just dominating the shifter scene. It's like, oh, all right. I guess I kind of got pissed off at getting beat all the time. And there was a number of them. And it's just like, you're not going to mess with the East Coast guys. And it's funny how it kind of flip-flop back and forth.
No, definitely. Maybe, like I said, from them getting beat so much, it kind of lit a fire. And, hey, now they're coming for you. So it's good. I mean, competition's good. That's what the sport needs. That's what any sport needs, is competition. Without competition, there's no sport. So,
yeah, that's if we got one of them nerds out there that loves stats and spreadsheets, can you guys do one of those maps, like a North America map, starting in like, I don't know, 95 to 2000 era with SCUSA, the original SCUSA Pro Tour, Supernats. And what I'm envisioning in my head is you guys are tracking the champions on where they're from. And then the map is like a graphical map that's kind of goes from era to era to era. And you just change and see the gravitation. Then as different series come up, so it's like you have the Honda, then you have ICC, then you have the Leopard, you have Rotax. So one of my spreadsheet friends needs to jump on that and then have an interactive North America map of how karting at the national level has evolved with where the winners come from.
No, I agree. I think that'd be really cool to see something like that.
I think it would be cool.
For I think that'd be awesome. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's listening that could definitely get that done. So
I should tag my buddy James McMahon. Mr. Kart Pulse, kartpulse.com, James McMahon. Jump on that.
Shameless plug. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't care. He's done so much to kind of help just get karting out there. Just a different approach to it. And it's like the kart chaser guys. I don't care. It's like, I look at it, I don't have competition. It's karting. Where the whole idea is to grow the sport. It's just get people out there. And Kart Chaser is going to do a much better job at their videos than I ever will, because I don't have a passion for creating a video. It's just the truth. I mean, so why not plug those that are doing better? Or it's like, if you've been YouTubing stuff, I'm sure you've seen Power Republic, Derek Jones out of Australia.
Yep.
Beautifully produced videos.
those how-tos are amazing.
Yeah, and they're well produced. And I had him on my show, I think last year. I should do a follow-up show with him because he was an interesting cat to talk to, and he sounds so smart with that accent. Just like, I mean, he could have said, "I just ate a turd," and it would sound so eloquent with his Australian accent. Someone's gonna chime in and go, "Hey, idiot! He's from New Zealand." But yeah, I mean, I
agree, man.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of good content out there, and yeah, my attitude is okay. I just need to get the content out there, and if it's good, then I'll worry about producing it later. But in karting, everything changes so fast anyway, so there's always stuff going on.
I'm learning that pretty quick. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, you and James, you run up Sonoma. So have you been on the KA package the whole time?
So James started out with the Rock, but yeah, then we switched over to the KAs, and now, like most people know, there's talk that they're going to go to the Rock, and it's like, well, man, we just kind of dumped all this money into a couple KAs, and now we got to go get a couple Rocks. Like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's yeah. We had Steve Cameron on a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about that, and he can't do anything yet. He's waiting to hear back from the powers that be when it comes to the Vortex program, whether or not he can run a mixed class. I personally, full disclaimer, I have nothing to do with Rock Sonoma. I have nothing to do with Rock Cup USA. I'm my own person. So send the hate mail to me. But I personally would like to see, Sonoma do everything they can to kind of keep the KA on board. Just from a participation standpoint.
No, I mean, I fully agree. Nothing against the Rock, like they're cool and stuff, but I personally feel like the KA is a way more superior package. Like those Rocks, you're having to change the reeds, especially like race weekend. You're, after every session, you're checking them because reeds are breaking. And it's like, the KAs, like you don't have to worry about stuff like that. Like, yeah, we still check them, but those things aren't breaking off. And it's like, a set of reeds is like $50.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going through, 3, 4, 5 sets of reeds, and you're like, damn, dude, that adds up quick.
Yeah. Oh, and I can't remember who it was. I can't remember if it was Madrigal or if it was Christopher Martin. My recall, whatever that part of my brain is, it's fried. But it was one of those drivers, and it was one of the races last year at Sonoma, and they were fast. I'm like, all right, this guy's gonna, probably be on the top of the podium or be close to it. And then all of a sudden they just went to dog shit. And it's like, you're watching them. It's like, well, they didn't do any worse. Like, they're driving. It's just, they look like dog shit. And I talked to him at the end as I go, yeah, we lost our reeds. And it's like, how, and that's just racing, right? I mean, it's just that's part of racing. But at the same time, it's just such a simple part. It really should last a couple of race weekends before you have to replace them.
No, definitely. I fully agree. I mean, to be honest, I guess that was a super idea by Rock to build such a cheap part, because man, they're selling a whole lot of those things. So kudos to them on that, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's tough. I mean, it's just really tough. It's at one point, the same engine package. You look at the shifter program at Rock, and it's stout. It's solid, single engine package. But then when you have like the VLR trying to struggle to compete with the KA, yeah, I don't know what the right thing is. I would hate to see racers have to choose a series and travel out of the area because they have one engine versus the other. That would be a shame.
Well, see, and that's what it comes down to. That's the sad part, because, like, without mentioning names, there's a few people I know that they're like, if they go to Rock, like, we're done. Either we're going spec Miata racing, or like you said, hey, we'll go drive KPX. And it's like, you know, I feel like the 100 class this year was pretty strong all year long. Like, the driver count was really good, and it's like, man, to like kind of risk that on making a engine package changes, I feel is dumb. I mean, they're going to be losing money.
Yeah.
The driver count's going to be down. Like, I don't see the advantage to that at all.
Yeah, and I can't speak too much about it because, again, I'm not a part of any of those series. But my guess or hunch would have to be that the Camerons are looking at it is, we don't give a shit if it's an electric engine. We need entries out here. How do we get entries out here? How do we get karts on the track? And if keeping the KA, helps them do that, I imagine they have to be pushing for that.
Yeah, I would think so.
And I know they listen to the racers too. That's been one of the nice, unique things about announcing this year and being in the tower. Just seeing all the background work going on all the time. It's amazing how much is going on, and I know the Camerons are always listening. It's like, okay, if it's valid feedback, they're gonna do what they can to implement it or jump on it.
No, I agree. Those guys, they do an awesome job, running the races up there at Sonoma, and definitely very, very thankful for them and their staff and everything that they do to keep everybody go-karting.
Yeah. Now, how would you feel as a mechanic if the engine package was open? Meaning bore stroke, bore stroke. And...
now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Oh, please, man. You know what? Like, it's funny you even mention that, because, like, from the motorcycle world, I mean, we're porting heads, obviously stroke, we have to leave it, stock. We can't, do long rods or anything, but, like, boring throttle bodies or boring carburetors and velocity stacks, and just, finding all these different advantages. And then we come to go-karting, and it's like everything's spec.
Yeah.
But then we also come to find out that there's people that are buying 20 KA motors and finding the best cylinder, and finding the best head, and finding the best carburetor, making this just one ripper motor, and then all these other motors go out to, get dispersed, and you're like, well, that sucks. That's cool for the big guys. They got a lot of cheddar, but, like, what about, the little guys that are still trying to compete, so it's like, man, let's open up that door a little bit, and let's start, boring these things and porting and polishing, and just let's start doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that, being at Swede Tech, where obviously I worked for an engine builder for, well, not obviously, most people may not even know, but I worked for Swede Tech for at least 15 years. So I guess what I mean, obviously I'm biased towards the engine stuff, and obviously I would want to see a blueprinted, ported type engine or open engine package out there, because it just kind of, I don't know. I love watching Rainey at the shop when he has something in there that he has to think about. When they started doing KZ engines for the SCUSA stuff this year, it's like he was happy again. It's like, all right, I get to think. It's not looking at the rule and go, oh, okay, what about this? What about that? It's like sending 900 emails back and forth. Hey, can we change the spark plug? Hey, can we change the plug cap? Hey, what about this? What about that? It's like, no, it's just like, it's open. Just do it. And
no, I agree.
So I from my first official poll, you would say, yes, do it. Open it up.
I'd be on board 120%.
I was hoping you'd say, yeah, I hope you open it up, because we've been running ported engines all year.
Nah. We play by the rules, but, man, like I said, to have something like that, gosh, that'd be so killer to be able to do, because on our end from the motorcycle world, like there's so many great people that would, jump on board to help us with stuff. And it's just like, yeah, because we when we went back to Springfield, we met up with he's a really famous dirt track tuner named Woody Kyle, and yeah, he was talking about, oh, so what can you guys do with those things? And we're like, nothing, we can't do anything.
Turn the needle.
And he's like, really? Yeah, I was like, yeah, we could turn the needles on the carburetor. That's about it.
Change the base gasket.
So it's like, and he's just kind of astonished because he's a big two-stroke guy. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously he's a 450 guy too, but yeah, he's just a lot of his early days was a lot of two-stroke stuff. So it's like he's like a guru. He knows all the kind of cool stuff he could do, and it's like, man, if we could just get a guy like that a cylinder and be like, here, man, do your magic, do what you do and send it back to us, and just to see, like, how good can we make one of these motors, or how far can we push it before the thing throws a rod through the block? Like,
yeah,
let us at least experiment, find out.
No, you're right, and that's the other side of it too. It's like you're talking about guys buying 10 or 20 different spec engines and running them all in the dyno and cherry picking all the best parts, and yeah, and honestly, I think there's always an advantage if you have the money to do that. Always. I think with some engines, there's less of an advantage doing that than with others, but it's still there. But, well, let's say you had a cylinder that just, for whatever reason, is a turd. You don't know. Everything measures okay. It's just, it's kind of a turd, but then you're able to go in and machine it or port it and stuff and get that power out of it. It's like, all right, now instead of a customer having to buy 5, 6, 10, 20 engines to feel like they're competitive, now they know they're competitive because the engine builder is able to manipulate that part to get the performance out of it that they need.
No, I mean, yeah, you nailed it, honestly, because it's like, we hear of like, oh yeah, this cylinder had, 1 inch more port time, we're like, but this is supposed to be, all the same stuff. So how has that one got 1 inch more than the other one? And like, it just doesn't make sense. But like I said, if you can turn it over to where like, okay, hey, we can send this to, so-and-so, have him port it, get it as best as he can and get it back, then it's like, kind of levels it out,
Yeah.
It kind of takes, and I feel it kind of takes the big guys with all the money out of it in a sense, because now the littler guys, they can go spend $300-400, have someone port a cylinder, get it back, and they're like, okay, shoot, we're in the game. We're not having to, get a motor that, necessarily isn't the greatest motor, but, it's like, I think that would be really cool, to be honest. I think that would open up a lot of things, and that might even bring more people into the go-kart world.
Well, I think, because it would be, I know for a fact we have a lot of tinkerers in our sport. I know it for a fact. And when I say a lot of tinkerers, I don't mean the professional shops. It's the end customer.
No.
Yeah. And some of the stuff I saw at Swede Tech come in, it's like, man, it's like, what? One, you obviously didn't read a rule book, and two, what were you thinking? But it's people want to like, if you're interested in motorsports and you're interested in working on your stuff, you probably like to tinker.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. That's, that's like that's part of the allure to it. It's not just driving, a go-kart. It's like the fun part too is also working on it. If you bend something or, say, yeah, you want to put a new piston, like being able to do that on your own and not have to go pay somebody, $200 to put a piston in your motor or, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, and that was, one other engine package out there. It's like they're all sealed up, and you need a service center in order to do anything. It's like, why? It's, there's engine. A customer should be able. What's the right way? A customer should be able to have the option to do their own top end.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why are we like forcing people? And then there's, you get a particular engine builder that, okay, now they're finding an advantage in a sealed engine. Well, then what happens? Well, everyone starts sending their stuff to that one engine builder.
No, I know. And that's the sad part of, I guess, the reality of things at this point is, stuff like that. It sucks, but I guess if you want to play, you got to pay. So
yeah, I'm gonna start calling up some of these series. It's like, hey, you want to sponsor the website? And they're like, no, you're talking about modified engines. Get lost.
Well, it's funny because we're obviously we're into like the dirt kart stuff too, and kind of I've been looking into that stuff, maybe doing some racing and stuff, and it's I'm going around looking at some guys as like KT 100s and stuff that run in the stock appearing class, and I'm looking at the heads, and all of a sudden I see Fleming. I'm like, God, that name sounds familiar, man. Where do I know that from? And go ask, hey, who's Fleming? He's like, oh, Doug Fleming. He's the one that does all of our KTs. And I'm like, hey, I've seen that guy at Sonoma before. Like I know who that guy is, and yeah, he's doing stock appearing KT 100s for a lot of the dirt guys out here in the valley. So it's like those things are all, done up, ported, and, so it's like it can be done, it's just obviously with, the Sonoma series, like I agree, they keep a strong rein on stuff. So it's like, and it's not worth, getting caught cheating or doing anything like that. But it's like these, engine builders, they can do some really cool stuff if you allow them to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They can think.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times too, it's you kind of throw it back at the engine builders and say, hey, you wanted this. What we asked for we're also expecting you to make sure that you're staying reliable. It's your customers need to finish all weekend. It's
yeah.
And I think the rules can be written in a way that would allow that. It's like, okay, the engine builders can think, they can get more performance out of it. You can even have two different classes. You could have stock, OEM, this is what you can do. Have a couple of engine builders get together and say, okay, let's write a how-to for the new guy getting in. Like, no, it's not stock appearing, it's stock. And then you have the intermediate and the pro guys at different stages can do a little bit more to their engines. Again, within reason. It's within reason and stuff that's techable. It's like if you can't definitely tech it efficiently, then it should just be open.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I agree.
So I think you're starting a new series. Is that what I just heard?
God, I'd love to, honestly. I'd love to. We need some more go-kart tracks.
Open Kart?
Yeah. Open Karts USA.
There you go. Yeah. So you said you guys are doing some dirt racing?
Yeah. So James actually has an outlaw kart that Mike DeRozier helped build with the CR500 on it.
Oh, those things are gnarly.
Yeah, so he's got one of those, and then we got our flat carts. We got I think they got some MX, and I got a white chassis, and we got our dirt carts, so we have fun. And I'm trying to get a KT going. Like I said, trying to get one of those quote unquote stock appearing KT 100s. So
call me tomorrow. I have a Fleming KT 100 in my garage.
A stock appearing?
Yeah, it's stock appearing. I don't know what's been done to it. It's built to. I don't know what the dirt rules are, but when I looked inside the engine, it looks like it was built to IKF rules, which, if I remember on IKF, I think IKF you were able to grind the aluminum to match the steel sleeve, but you couldn't touch the steel sleeve, or vice versa.
Okay.
But I don't know what dirt rules are.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, it's wide open. I mean, I got animals and world formulas over here that are running on methanol, and so I got all kinds of crazy open 4-strokes and 2-stroke stuff. So it's just something else to sink money into, Jason. That's all it is.
Yeah. Hey, it's fun though, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I mean, like I said, this is what we did, before going go-karting full time. Is that'd be our wintertime activity, and so I wouldn't have it any other way. It's awesome.
Oh, so you were doing the dirt carts before you got into the sprint kart stuff?
Oh yeah, no, we've been doing the dirt kart stuff probably 6 years now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we've been doing that. Like I said, we get home from traveling, with the flat track stuff, and once the winter time came, and it was a mad thrash to get all of our dirt carts ready, and James has a dirt track out at his house, and they got a harrow and they got a little water buggy, and we would just get going, and yeah, it was really, really killer.
Wow. Now, do you work pretty much for James exclusively, like full time, and his brother?
I help. I wouldn't even say work. I don't take any money from him. I just, help him with the racing stuff. And like I said, James obviously with the go-kart stuff. And then when I got some free weekends, that we're not doing anything go-karting wise, then I'll help his brother with the flat track side of things.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not getting a paycheck?
No, we haven't made it to that point yet.
What do you do for your day job then?
Actually, I do like side work on motorcycles. So like I'll, guys with their trail bikes or motocross bikes, like I'll, rebuild motors and just do bike maintenance and stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So your main income is from motorcycles.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I work for Ron on the weekends, up there. It's at race weekends, and he's awesome, and he allows me to kind of split my time up between the person I'm working with and keep James rolling. So it's cool. It all works out. So I'll make a little bit at Sonoma, and the main thing is the bike stuff though. Like I said, we're doing motor rebuilds, and got three motors right now lined up, and so it's like I'm pretty busy right now. So
yeah, nice. So for you as a mechanic, what has been your biggest learning curve in karting? Like, if you had to do it over, what would you change on day one, knowing what you know now?
I guess taking it a little more serious, I guess, if anything. Not thinking that, it's just a go-kart, because, like, a lot of people got that, vibe of, like, oh, yeah, no, it's just a go-kart, something crazy. But it's like, a millimeter here, a millimeter there, that could make a huge difference on how the go-kart works as far as the axle width, or, it's just like, it's insane. It's like I never thought something would be so complex without having any shocks. We're working strictly through metal stiffnesses or softnesses, and it's, like I said, camber, caster. It's just, it's crazy. I never would have thought go-kart would be so complex.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things we were talking about with Terry Bridges, who was on before you tonight, of just how far the technology specifically on the chassis side, because if anything, the technology on the engine side has regressed, and the chassis side is just now as far superior to what even I had, which is I don't know 20, 25 years ago. All the adjustabilities and things that matter, like all the changes that, like you just said, it's like, okay, you're checking this and checking that, and all the equipment and technology and knowledge that we have. And then I brought up the story of Ron White at the Supernats, where he came across the scales. Him and his mechanic Scott lifted the cart on the stand, and his wheel fell off the cart. And it's like, dude, and he finished 4th or 5th at the Super Nationals with his wheel falling off. It's like, dude, how long were you driving that way? He's like, like half the race. And I don't know if he hit the wall or if he hit another cart or something, but it blew out the spindle bearings.
Yeah, no, that's what's crazy about go-karting, man. It's so technical, and like, with the motorcycle stuff, it's like, you're on a dirt track, we're chasing different stuff. We are chasing setup, but then we're also watching the track, how the dirt's changing, hey, is it tacking up or is it getting slick? Okay, we need to make these changes. But it's like, when you're looking at asphalt, like, it looks like asphalt. You can't be like, oh yeah, it's getting way slick. Like, that comes from the driver.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't being a mechanic, you're just kind of watching, waiting for him to come in and tell you, hey, the cart's pushing, or, the cart's stepping out on me, and, this, that, and then tire pressures are a huge thing, obviously. And I learned that quick, if you don't have your tire pressures right, that's either you're going to be fast in the beginning, slow in the end, or not as quick in the beginning and really fast in the end. So there's a lot to learn, but you know what? I'm up for the challenge, and I love it.
Yeah, it's a fun sport.
No, it really is. Glad to be a part of it, and glad to have met all you crazy people. And like I said, can't wait for 2022.
Yeah. So what made you call in tonight?
Just listening, man. Like I heard some talking about, dirt this and dirt that. I'm like, oh man, maybe this is kind of my conversation. Anytime I hear that dirt word, I'm like, hey, my ears perk up. So.
The dirt. maybe you can be my dirt liaison into the dirt karting world.
Yeah, I'd be glad to.
I don't like getting my hands dirty.
Oh, come on. Now, hey, I will say that is the one nice thing about being at the pavement now. It's like I don't get half as dirty as I would at a regular flat track race. That's for sure.
I just watching a dirt race, you get dirty.
Exactly. Just being in the grandstands, you get dirty.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Maybe you can be my dirt liaison guy, because I don't know anything about it. I mean, as far as I know about dirt, it's like you have QRC chassis and they put 250s and 500s on them, and they go left.
Yeah.
But I think you turn right to go left or something. I don't know, but
exactly. You got to turn right to go left, and that's pretty confusing for a lot of people, especially if you're not from that background of racing. So.
Yeah, they have some pretty gnarly packages out there.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, we'll get some carts together, and we'll have to get you. You're not far. You're from Galt, so you're about 45 probably from Modesto. So we'll have to get you down and let you jump in one of the dirt carts and see what it's all about.
Yeah, if I'm driving to Modesto, then we're going to Primo's in Manteca first or Ripon for lunch or dinner, and then we'll go get dirty.
That sounds like a plan. We should have some pop-up lights here pretty soon, so we could be running into the night. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James,
it sounds like you're having too much fun out there.
I mean, he lives in the country, man. You can pretty much get away with murder out there. So, he usually has a pretty cool New Year's Eve bash that he does, and he rents lights for it because there's like a little pit bike track that his brother has built, and so that we run deep into the night on New Year's and into the New Year's Day, obviously, and we all pass out and go to sleep at some point, and then we get up the next day and get all the carts ready, and then we keep the crank up lights on, and we just run all into the night driving go-karts.
That sounds like too much fun.
It's pretty neat, man. I will say I'm definitely fortunate that those guys do what they do to allow us to go out there and have fun like that. So
when do you guys get out to Sonoma next?
We're thinking either this Thursday potentially or next week for sure.
Oh, okay.
So we've kind of been just doing some freshening up on motors and, like I said, taking a little time off, and we should be out there in the next week or so, and like I said, getting them back in the groove of things, and getting ready for the new year.
Now, are you guys going to do Challenge of the Americas at all?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to. We're trying to. That's part of what we're doing right now as well, is getting sponsors together and trying to, get the funds up to do those things. Because that's definitely not cheap. So we're working on it. We're trying to get everything in line for the new year, and that would definitely be the goal for sure, to hit some bigger races. And we kind of want to venture out, maybe to go to Reno. And he's crazy. He wants to go to Indiana, and he wants to go run in Newcastle, which I'm on board for, because
that's a bucket list track.
Yeah, I'm ready to get back to the traveling side of things, getting in a van and driving for 30, 40 hours, and going and seeing some new racetracks. So I think that's on the list of things to do. So
yeah, that's a beautiful track.
Yeah, no, I've watched plenty of video, man. It's pretty insane. Definitely looks like you got to have a good running motor though to go fast there.
Yeah, because you have a long straightaway.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
It's very long, yeah. And it's probably one of those places, being that it's so big, it's probably worth going, ahead of time if you're going to do like a big race out there. If you're just going for a buckets list type thing, then it doesn't matter. But if you're going to head back for a big race, definitely go out ahead of time and, just throw a weekend away just to take the track in. It's like, all right.
No, definitely. I mean, that's probably what we would do, to be honest. He's pretty smart with stuff like that, and we line it up with some motorcycle races that are going on out there, and go check that out, see some friends we haven't seen in a while, and get some go-karting in while we're out there. So
yeah. Now, where was it that you guys just came back from? Was it Springfield?
Yes, that was Springfield, Illinois.
And is that a 1 mile track?
Yeah, that's a mile.
Okay. How was that trip?
It was pretty amazing, to be honest, man. It was pretty eye-opening. It was the first time James has been back to a Grand National since his crash in 2019. So, and then plus to put on top of that, he was actually getting back on a bike and riding a bike around the mile again. So it's like, wow, okay, I guess let's do this. So we went out there, and it was just really cool. We got to see a bunch of people that we necessarily hadn't seen in a little bit, and just enjoyed being around with all of our flat track family and seeing all them. And then then came Saturday, and he decided it was time for him and actually another mutual friend, Brad Baker, who got paralyzed in 2018 racing at X Games in flat track. They both got on the Indian FTR 750s, which they raced, in the open class. And, they made, 3 or 4 laps around the track and stuff. And it was just it was a special deal to be a part of and to see and experience. And, it was kind of a really cool deal.
Nice. Yeah. Those are those memories you just want to stash away and keep them forever.
No, definitely. And I was thankful that a lot of people took photos and, videos. And so it's like, it's stuff you'll never forget. And you always have to look back on and just kind of remember, like, man, remember when we went and did this trip. And so it's really cool. Yeah.
What's one of your most memorable road trips? Like, just not even from a racing standpoint. Because when you bring that up, there's some of my best memories in racing aren't driving the kart.
No, 9 times out of 10, the best memories are just getting to the races, really.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
There's probably a lot of them, right?
That's what I mean. It's kind of hard to narrow down. There's, so many of them, we've driven all over the country, all the way to the East Coast, all the way to New York and California, all the way back and forth. So it's like, it's hard to really pick one, I guess, if I had to. I don't know. That's a tough question to ask or to answer.
Well, when you were talking about like the special memories, it's just like, oh, I got to ask this.
No, I get it. Like I said, there's so many, man. It's just like, yeah, it's crazy. Seeing Philadelphia for the first time, like that was an eye opener. Seeing that place, and then hitting up some bars and just crazy stuff, man. Like, yeah, just probably not really podcast rated stuff, but
I really don't care. I'm probably gonna get fired from all my gigs anyway at some point, just because of my own my own stupidity. So let it rip. It might hurt your sponsorship chances.
Yeah, see, that's, there might be some people listening that, might want to lend a hand at some point. So I should keep those stories tucked. Maybe when we see each other, I'll let some loose to you.
Yeah. So I mean, all my sponsors so far, they knew me ahead of time, so they already knew I was an idiot.
That's funny.
I'm surprised no one turned the mic off on me at the Sonoma stuff. It's like, all right, I must not have said anything too bad yet.
Nah, you've been doing a really good job, man, with that stuff. And I know it's a work in progress, but I mean, it's just cool to have those little outlets. Like I said, go back on YouTube and watch round 7, watch round 6, and it's like it's kind of cool. You can analyze stuff and watch stuff, and it's really cool. Really cool you're doing that.
No, it's been a really fun project. I've been, I mean, all along the way, someone had to talk me into some aspect of it. I didn't approach the camera and say, hey, I want to do your announcing. They said, hey, you should do our announcing because we can't find anybody else. And then, I got the feedback. It's like, oh, man, you kind of suck. And it's like, yeah, I know. I'm not an announcer. And then doing the homework leading up to the next race. It's like, okay, I'm starting to do bio sheets and drivers are starting to turn them in. And then it gave me a whole new respect for the guys that do the announcing, that do like such a flawless job. It really, I mean, it's just a lot of work that goes into it ahead of time. And the only time it ever got easier was like towards the end when I actually put in a lot of work at the beginning. And then I was able to recognize the helmets and the names and for the classes that I didn't normally follow, it's like, oh, okay. But, yeah, and then, there's just next year we'll work on being better. The nice thing is I'm the weakest link. That's the nicest part about it. It's like I don't have to worry about anything with the video or anything on the technical side because I'm the weakest link. And it's like, oh, that's actually, I like that feeling.
Well, yeah, because kind of what you need to work on, and it's kind of on you. So that's cool.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, I got a little frustrated at the last race because it's like I don't want to say this to make it sound like it's the timing and scoring's fault because it has nothing to do with them, but that track has been just plagued with timing and scoring issues for a long time. But the last race, it's like we lost race monitor, so I think we were on Speed Hive. Well, I don't normally ever use Speed Hive for anything, so I don't know how to navigate it. And we're doing qualifying, and it's like, and I'm just like, I'm surprised I didn't say anything on a live mic because I'm not real intelligent. Like I just pop off. Like I just run my mouth. And a couple of my friends even said, we want the Jason Berry we know. It's like, yeah, that Jason Berry is going to get fired too fast. But I was just like, oh, why isn't the stupid phone working? Like I was getting so mad, and it's just like, and it was just some sort of like a Wi-Fi glitch in the system. I don't know, but
that's technology, man.
That's technology. Yeah. And it just, again, you're trying to do qualifying and doing the live timing and trying to make it exciting. It's like, I don't know. I can't make it up. And then I didn't want to hover over Michelle's shoulder because she had her live timing from the actual A and B system. So she was good, but I didn't want to be yelling in her ear trying to announce. Like, she's trying to do her job.
No, exactly. So I just kind of got to take it with a grain of salt and just roll with the punches.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun though. I'm really looking forward to 2022 because it's. I'm starting to watch more and more racing videos and specifically the stuff that's online to see how other announcers are doing it or what they're bringing up. And again, I think a really good announcer, you don't know they're there. Like it's just they're so fluid with it.
No, exactly. You'll get there, man. You'll get there. Keep on keeping on.
Keep on. Oh, yeah. That should be my shirt. Grow my hair out. Show up to the first race with a mullet.
I love it.
All right. How do you want to wrap up our show?
I just, want to, like I said, thank you for, everything you do for, go-karting and, everything up at Sonoma. And, yeah, just thanks for having me on. And we'll, hopefully we'll see you here soon.
Yeah, no, for sure. And put a bug in James' ear to come on the show.
I will. I'll get on that. Like I said, I should be seeing him here the next day or so. So I'll get him on here for you.
Yeah, because I like having, just perspective from everybody, because it's, that's what the show's about. It's, I want everybody on it. It's like, I want national guys, I want club guys, I want mechanics. It's like, I want everybody. Originally, like 10 years ago, my original idea for like a karting show, not even a karting show, but kind of like a, I guess it'd be a vlog or a blog or whatever. It's like, I should have done it, but I can't focus for more than 5 seconds, so I never did. Just walking around like all the tracks and talking to that guy that's like, well, what's his story? Like, who is he? What's his story? And I've always wondered, like, how many stories are out there that no one knows about that are awesome stories?
Oh, there's thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands. That's the sad reality of it, and maybe a platform like yours can get those stories to the surface.
Yeah, it's like it's like almost like history. It's like you walk around the Sonoma, you walk or drive around the Sonoma facility. How many stories are in every single shop up there?
Millions, thousands.
Yeah, it just. Yeah, and that like years ago, I was always very curious about that. It's like, oh, what's that guy's deal? Like, just kind of out of a curious, what's that guy's deal?
That's funny.
But we'll see. Yeah, man. Now I'm all amped up. I was like, earlier I was almost going to get a coffee, like around 3:00 today. Now it's 10:50, and now I'm all like amped up. It's like, my family's in the other room going, when is he going to shut up?
Yeah, like, we're trying to go to bed or we're trying to watch TV. Shut up, Dad.
Yeah, they should. Well, my daughter should be in bed by now. It's like 10:50. And then my wife usually passes out around 8:30.
Oh, you're in trouble, man. It's almost 11.
All right, Chris, wrap up our show for us.
All right. Well, like I said again, I'd just like to thank you and Norcal Karters and everything you guys do, man. It's awesome, and without people like you, sport would be hurting. So I appreciate you having me on tonight, and we'll see you soon.
No, thank you for calling in and being part of my guinea pig experiment on this call-in thing. And then drop the sponsors for James, why don't you?
He's sponsored by Ron White Racing, Essenson Racing, Rye Americas, Ron Knight. God, I'm trying to think.
There's a roofing company on the side of your cart.
Yep, Roof Systems, Dallas, Texas. Don Delalia. Oh man, he's got so many. It's crazy. Think I'm kind of hitting on him. But anybody that helps, you know who you are. And sorry if I forgot you, but without any of you guys, none of this would happen. So.
Well, it goes both ways. Without you guys, we don't have a show. we don't have we don't have events. We don't. It goes
very
both
true,
ways for everybody. Well, very cool, Chris. Thanks again for calling in.
No worries, Jason. Like I said, you have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
I am. I'm like all fired up right now. So it's like, yeah. I might actually start working on the website a little bit. Or I'll get stuck watching YouTube.
Yeah, don't do that. You'll never go to sleep.
Nope.
All right,
cool.
Jason. You have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That was Chris Borjas calling in, the mechanic for James Monaco. And that's how we're going to wrap up the NorCal Carter podcast this evening. So if you're just tuning in, you missed Terry Bridges at the beginning, but you can go back and listen to our conversation. Again, Chris called in. And in the future, I think I'm just going to leave the call-in number live and excuse me, and allow people to call in. And if you want to be on the show, let me know. If you're a track out there and you want your events on our calendar, send me the information for the calendars, so that way we can get those online. And if you want to upgrade your listings, let me know. So we have some good programs for upgrading the listings. Bring your races more attention. The whole idea is to bring you more racers. So the advertising basically pays for itself. So yeah, very affordable. It only takes a couple of race entries to pay for my sponsorship. So when you think about it that way, it's pretty cost effective. So thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and visit us on either Instagram or Facebook. I'll get better at posting more pictures and stuff like that on Instagram. But right now my big push is YouTube. I need 1,000 subscribers in order to unlock live trackside videos and things like that. So like and subscribe on YouTube. And thank you again for listening, and have a great evening.